And that's the last of the Elden Ring soundtrack we'll be hearing, because it's mostly atmospheric. Hi. Hello. Hi. And welcome to a Dark Souls playlist. How we all doing? Everyone you work with seems to be very bad at communication. I mean, given that their job is to communicate. I don't know. Life, it's funny like that. I stream 4 times a week, and God, I'm terrible at communicating. I'm good, it's not hot. It's not too hot, it's not hot as yesterday. Nowhere near as hot as yesterday. I'm still sweating, but that's largely because of the building I'm in, which is very, very hot always. But hey, it's cool enough to have the windows closed. So I can speak with volume. Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back to the final part. Final, possibly asterisk? I had a thought today, but we'll get back to that. Of me ranking all of the FromSoft bosses in the games of theirs I've played. We're doing Elden Ring today. Let me hop over to the doodle. This is the Square of Doodle, as you well know. As a reminder, all of this, that's your reminder. So we're doing a tier list. We're drawing all the bosses from memory. I don't have a list. I'm going to try and draw them from memory and then rank them according to my personal preferences of what I like. General rule of thumb, anything above B is something that I would be actively annoyed if they took out of the game. Anything below D is something that I would be completely indifferent if they took it out of the game. Bed of Chaos is at the bottom as our calibration for what is the worst. And there's a bunch of stuff up at S now. We got like Artorias and Manus and Ludwig and Orphan, Owl, Divine Dragon, good stuff. A nice mix. I don't have a type of boss I like. You just got to be very good at what you do. Boss Brush. I've just realised I don't actually have chat. I'm reading you through my bot. I didn't get chat up. So slightly. This is a bit loud. Slightly late for stream today because I was an hour early for stream today. I got everything ready and then realised that I was getting ready for 6 and not 7. So then I thought, oh well, I've got everything ready already, so there's no point like rushing. And and then I was too late because I didn't rush. So it's all good. It's all good. I have chat now. Chat's here. Hi, how you doing? Hey Christy, how you doing? How was all good? Yeah, I just looked at Christy's message and I was like, why is Christy's name not coloured differently to everyone else's? Oh god, I'm not looking at the chat. Hi. Right, Elden Ring. A couple of clarifications for this one are going to be needed. Clarification number 1, I've only played the game once. It took 110 hours, and I fought most of the bosses at least 5 times, because of the way the game works. But I have only played it once. I may forget things. Clarification number 2, this game has, 180 bosses? So we're starting at M. No, we're going to start at A, actually, funnily enough. That's as far as I've planned. Yeah, so this game has way too many bosses for me to draw in one stream. Luckily, most of them are duplicates. So we're going to be getting rid of all duplicates, all things I consider to be duplicates, and that includes bosses that are basically the same but have a slightly different gimmick. So like, it's the same boss, but now they're on fire. It's the same boss, but now they have this additional move. They're basically the same thing. I'm not going to give them a different rating just because of that. If anything, I'd give them a lower rating, and that feels cruel. So I'm only going to be doing each boss once. The other thing is that I'm also going to be cutting out any boss that I consider to be an enemy in a boss room. And that's a bit of a wonky definition, because there's actually some that I probably will draw that do at some point in the game turn into regular enemies, as happens with like Capra or Taurus Demon in Dark Souls 1. It's a thing that happens in games. But generally speaking, one thing Elden Ring does quite a lot is it puts an enemy in a boss room, even at a time in the game when you would have thought them as enemies normally, and that feels, you know, that feels a bit weird. So I'm gonna, some of them I will Twitch, 15-foot square room Twitch. Did Twitch change every word you just said or something? You having fun there, Doug? Oh, I could put my fan on because I know it's quiet enough not to cause noise, although it's quite loud there. The first bit of that was 2 freaking pumpkin heads in a 15-foot square room. Oh, okay. I thought you just wanted to talk about a 15-foot square room. Hang on, did you... Well, I want to try something. Okay, yeah. You might have accidentally pressed down when you were typing. I did that the other day, and it doesn't delete what you've just written, but it starts a new message. You can press up to get back to it. It's weird. But yeah. So we're going to be drawing all the bosses. I think I made a list after I finished the game of 38 bosses in this game. Oh, you can also press up to go back to messages you've already written, I think. I think that's the thing you can do. No, you can't. I don't know. Twitch is weird. Yeah, so I made a list of 38. I don't know if I'm going to do all 38. I might forget some. That's going to happen. What else is there to say? If I forget any, we'll bring up the list at the end and then see which ones I've forgotten and whether or not they deserve to be forgotten. Oh, and I'm probably the last boss I draw. If you know the game, you know what boss I'm going to draw last. It's not the final boss, but it's the last one I fought, and I'm going to be talking about it for about half an hour, so buckle in. Yeah. Other than that, I guess we should get started. It's Elden Ring. Obviously, spoilers. I'm going to be drawing every boss in the game. Spoilers. This is a new game. Oh, that's it. This is the first FromSoft game I played completely blind. I saw absolutely nothing of the game other than the initial, announcement trailer prior to playing the game, and didn't see anything until I had finished it. So all of these opinions that I have about these bosses are, for the first time in the series, completely my own. They're not influenced by anybody else. And some interesting things happened. I ended up really liking some bosses people hate. I ended up hating some bosses people like. So, you know, it's nice to have your own opinions about things. Speaking of, dragons! We start with the dragon called Agil. Something really cool about this dragon. So, imagine a dragon, right? That's it. It's a dragon. It's just it's a dragon. This was my first boss in the game. This is a dragon. I don't know how to draw a dragon in any way that doesn't look like all of the other dragons I've drawn in this series, but it's just a dragon. Got big old wings. It's called Agil. I fought him on horseback, just in the middle of a massive lake. It was really cool. It was very unlike anything in the series before it, and I was full of adrenaline when I did it because it was really cool, and I was very excited. I said I'm not going to draw duplicates, so I'm not going to draw the other 10 dragons in this game that are basically Agil but fire, or Agil but ice, or Agil but rot, or Agil but magic. His Dargon is gonna have teeth. But yeah, as a fight, as a standalone, really cool one-off experience, which is what I'm gonna consider this boss. I'm not gonna taint my opinion of these bosses based on their repetition. Also, I'm drawing in gold because Elden Ring is gold. This was really, really cool. It was something special. It was something different. It made me think about fighting on horseback, which is not something I've had to do in these games before. It's cool. You find him in a lake. He burns all of the river crusts. I don't know what they're actually called. I thought of them as river crusts. Yeah, it's a Dargon called Agil. He's angry to see you. Get out of my lake. Yeah, I'm going to assume there are spikes. Again, this just looks like a dragon, really. Imagine a dragon. You got it. You got it. It's a good dragon. I like this fight. It's satisfying enough that I actually killed all of the other ones. And so I did the same boss fight 10 times. Oh, my favorite variation, right? There are variations of basically every boss in this game. But this one there are quite a lot because dragons existing in the world is kind of cool. And some of them, as I say, some of them have a different status effect, like this one's poisoned, or this one's ice, or what have you. One of them is just, hey, this is a Gil, but on a bridge. Isn't that exciting? I think that's the only difference in that fight, is that he's on a bridge. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to waffle on a lot, so everybody feel free to talk about how your day's going. That's a Gil. A Gil is a Gil. A Gil's cool. I like a Gil. There was a good fight. I have very fond memories of that first boss fight and being full of adrenaline. What are we up against? I've got to remember my sort of calibrations of things. I like it. I like it. Like, certainly as dragon fights go, it's pretty darn good. It's not quite Calamite, but it's definitely it's on that level. It's on that level. Let's put it like that. I like. It's a good dragon fight. Yeah. So that's that. One down. See, now my brain's like, ugh. Yeah, I'm not consider. Dark talked about the pumpkin heads. You can fight them nearby. I'm not considering those because I fought them as an enemy before I fought them as a boss. Oh, actually, no. There's one in a room nearby, and then there's two in a room a little further away. Again, there's a lot of copies. I should have thought about like an order to do these because. Shall we say? What was my next boss? I don't know what my next boss was. Like proper boss. Leonine Misbegotten, I guess? What does the Leonine Misbegotten look like? I don't know, sort of lion-like, and he's got a sword. So the Leonine Misbegotten, I think he's got little wings as well. He's got tiny wings and a big old sword. And like a lion face. Which means I have to draw a lion face somehow. Pumpkin heads, they're not as cute as they sound. They don't actually have pumpkins for a head, which is, frankly, a shame. Oh, hang on, I've lied. I lied to you. I said I saw absolutely nothing of the game prior to playing it. That is not true. That is not true. Plamps showed me some of their hats in the game. That has no bearing on my experiences with bosses or anything, but I saw some hats. They look cool. Yeah, so Leonine Misbegotten is, I'm gonna say underwhelming. It's a boss. It's got a big sword. I don't know, does he have the sword? Does he have the sword of swords? Is he using that? You get it from him, but I don't know if he's using it. I'm gonna draw him with the sword of swords. Hey, did you know that this game was part written by George R.R. Martin, who's famous for his work on the Game of the Thrones? Well, you do now because there's a sword made of swords, which looks like the throne in the Game of the Thrones, which is made of the swords. So it's like swords with a throne of the sword throne. What if a sword was made of thrones, which was made of swords? He doesn't use the Sword of Swords. Well, he does now because I need to distinguish him somehow. Because I'm not going to be able to actually draw him. Anyway, this is a disappointing boss at the end of a disappointing area. It was fine. It's a perfectly acceptable fight. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just very easy for me, at least, and very forgettable. Really didn't seem to have an awful lot to do with what was going on in the area before. Maybe he was like the leader of the things that had taken over the castle that you couldn't get into because you just went to the top of it and then fell off the back. That was so annoying. I was looking forward to exploring this massive castle on the horizon. It's like, oh, let's go and explore this castle. And then you get there and you immediately take a lift to the top. You never go inside. It's like, what? Howdy! But yeah, he's got a sword of swords. He doesn't, but he does. Yeah, this is borderline an enemy in a boss room, but you don't fight these as regular enemies as far as I'm aware. At least not until later. A lot later. Oh, I've just remembered. No, my first boss was actually 2 big demi-humans in a room with 6 other smaller demi-humans. I hated that. And demi-humans are just like regular enemies, basically. They're like goblins, essentially. The chieftain, yeah, demi-human chieftains. So here's a Leonine Misbegotten. I actually like this design better than the one in the game, because I don't remember the one in the game. They're red, which is kind of cool. A lot of things about red hair in this game. Forgettable, basically, but not bad. Where could I put you? What are you on par with? Did I separate out the Abyss Watchers into first and second phase? No, well that was pretty cruel putting them down here. But they are annoying, so. Also, it's a little difficult to see if I draw in gold. Let me know if you want me to draw in a darker colour. You can keep one asleep if you're quick enough. That's how I did it in the end. I just tried to stay by the fog gate for as long as possible. The fact that until you mentioned the Sword of Swords, you had no idea which boss it was. Exactly. It is very much... I guess it has to go below D because it is just removable. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I have no reason not to put it there. It's on par with, like, the Crystal Sage. That seems fair. Oh god, I have no order for this. This is an open world game. Oh no, I should have planned this. Ulcerated Tree Spirit. The Ulcerated Tree Spirit is big lizard made of tree, but also gore. I don't. Do they have little arms? I'm gonna give them little arms. Yeah. I fought an Ulcerated Tree Spirit at way too low a level, but got really stubborn about it. So I fought it for like 3 hours while it instantly killed me with every single hit. But I learned it and did it perfectly, and I felt so good about myself. This is apparently, there's conjecture this was originally designed to be in Dark Souls 3, actually, which is kind of cool. Well, you do your approach and summon 2 people and just rush in. No summoning. You get a sword, healing, and rolling. That's all you're allowed in my game. We'll get to that. Could draw them in the intended order. What's the intended order for an Ulcerated Tree Spirit? This is optional. Forgot I'm boring. I'm not boring, I like a challenge. You're boring. It's cute. I like them. They are incredibly fast, very big, very intimidating, will kill you instantly. And I mean, it might be that experience that I had of just belligerently banging my head against this fight over and over again until I actually managed to do it. But I love this boss. I absolutely... The design, the way it moves, it feels so unlike any other boss in these games, but it feels fair as a fight. You always feel like either you haven't learned it well enough or it was your own fault that you died. More on that later. I don't think they have eyes. I think they're just sort of like blobs stuff. Yeah, they're just sort of big old tree spirits, ulcerated tree spirits. Annoyingly, this was the first warning sign I had about this game. Is I remember talking to Dark about this after I beat it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like my favorite boss. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's great. And then Dark asked, which one did you kill? There are like 8 of these in the game, and they are all identical. None of them have any differences at all. This game drives me nuts. I love this boss, but why didn't have to be in the game 8 times? Unchanged. Okay, there's like one of them has like a poison effect, but other than that, they're mostly the same. But if I'm just judging it as a boss, a single fight, I love this fight. This fight's great. Very satisfying to execute once you learned all of the moves. It's very good. And the moves are well telegraphed. It's good to learn how to dodge them. It takes place in an arena that feels too small but isn't. Very good size. Cool. And you can fight this. This could be your first boss, which is great because it's like, it's technically the first boss you go past. Well, we're not going to talk about Soldier of Godric. That is literally an enemy in a boss room. So yeah, why am I? You're not going down there. You're going up here. Yeah. Am I gonna? Yeah. I love this boss. It's great. I loved it so much. I fought it 8 times. That's that. God, I'm oh no. Okay, Margit. Margit/Morgott. I'm gonna count them as one. Even though you fight them twice in the game and the second fight is slightly different. Actually, it's quite a lot different, but it's like having a 2-phase fight, basically. The first phase, I think, is the same as... No, it's not. It's different. It's essentially a 3-phase fight, but split up over the course of the game. And I'm going to count them as one. Margit, Morgott. This is like your first proper boss in the game. The first, like, essential boss. I don't know how to draw bloody Margit. The guy's got a big hunch. Some scribbles. Lots of horns. So this is Margit the... Is it the Fell Omen? I believe they're called. They have lots of horns. That's their thing. Horns. Many horns. There's a little horn here. And they're very grumpy. They don't like you being here. They want to be king. And they're quite old. And they're going to whap you with their stick. I've got a big old lumpy stick. Turns out there's a sword in that stick. Spoilers. A sword that looks like it's been run through oil for some reason. This is pretty serviceable. One-on-one. It's your standard kind of like you versus a big enemy fight. It's good. It's, you know, FromSoft have got this sort of fight nailed down at this point. They know how to make these good. However, it does, and this is not a fault on this boss. This is a fault on the design of the entirety of Elden Ring, which is, this boss is the first one you come across where you're like, oh, they have attacks specifically designed to punish me for rolling at the right time. Every boss has that in Elden Ring. Completely unnatural movement just to catch you if you rolled at the time that it looked like you should have. And it's like, It was Mr. Mime for a second there. Oh no. Not Mr. Mime. I don't know what's going on here. It's Morgott. Margit. Margit Morgott. Same person, different name. Everything in this game has either 2 bodies or 2 names. It's just the thing that happens. Or 2 faces, or 2... There's a lot of dichotomy going on in this game. I quite like this design. It doesn't really look like him. It's quite thin in the game. But I like this. This is cool. I think people will get the idea if they've played the game who I'm drawing here. But yeah, this is like your first proper boss. You go into a castle, he's here going, you shouldn't come into this castle, screw you. And then he throws laser swords at you. He teaches you that the game loves delays. Whoa! Does it love delays? Does it? Yes, it does. Very much so. You then fight him later and he takes off his cloak and he breaks his stick and turns it into a sword, and he's harder, and he's vomit. There's a lot of vomit in that fight. Not actual vomit, but you know, we've coined a phrase over the course of this series, which is running away from the vomit. This time it looks like vomit, and you run away from it. So hey, he's got a curse. He's not happy about it. He's cursed to be horned. I'm not gonna say what I was originally gonna say. He's cursed to be horned and vomiters. And he's trying to hold it in and trying to be king, but it's hard. So he's got an interesting little story, at least. This is good. This is a good. I like this. It's not really doesn't do anything for me, but it's good. Yeah, pretty solid. Diddling. Oh my. I'm looking to see what I can put it with. It's not a cool as design as the Rotten, but it's a better fight than the Rotten. So, you know, Amygdala's kind of an annoying fight. This is not an annoying fight, it's good. Moon Presence. Is it on par with Moon Presence? Maybe not. Maybe there. I feel like if I can award Margit Morgott higher than this, a lot of the bosses in the game are going to be higher than this. A lot of the main bosses. The main bosses in this game are solid. Yeah, I can put it here. Looking at the stuff that I did for Sekiro, yeah, that seems good. Oh, I've got to hurry up. Oh my god, I'm going to use half an hour on Millennia alone. Godric. Godric? Is it Godric? I'm going to go with Godric. Godric, Godfrey, Godefroy, Godwin. Which one is it? This guy has too many arms. One of which is a dragon. Spoilers for phase 2. So his whole thing is... Oh, it is Godric. It's Godric the Grafted. I'm also not going to include Grafted Scion, even though it's technically the first boss of the game. I forgot about it, because you are intended to die to it. And it's an enemy later on. Quite soon later on, before you fight this boss, in fact. So yeah, this is a guy who likes grafting arms to himself. He thinks the more arms he has, the more important he is. And that's not quite how that works. But he thinks... Because he basically has nothing else going on. Like, he wants to be special, but he's not. So he's like, I've give myself arms that can have arms. And then I'll be strong. Witness! He likes screaming that. Also, I didn't start the stream off with, "Oh, rise, ye tarnished. They have a brilliant gold mask." He might have several legs as well. There's some grafting going on. There's a cool... If you look up videos of, like... I mean, this is technically body horror. But if you look up videos of, like, analyses of the character model of this boss, there's some interesting stuff going on. But yeah, I think he has a sword as well. Does he have a sword? Or a hammer? Does he have a hammer? He might have a hammer. Arm guy has a dragon head for an arm. Yes, halfway through the fight, he cuts his own arm off with an axe. It's an axe. He has an axe. Thank you for reminding me. Axes are a thing in this game. The axes are the royalty weapon. But yes, he cuts off his own arm halfway through the fight and then just sticks it in a dragon's head, and now that becomes his new arm. It's an axe hammer. Okay. There we go. It's a ham axe. This is, yeah, we'll go with that. That seems good enough. This is Godric the Grafted. He's alright. He does some spins. It's kind of fun. He's basically, I mean, I have basically exactly the same opinion of him as I do Margit Morgott, so it's a neat idea. It's kind of cool. Both of them transform after they're dead into just like their regular forms, which is kind of neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat. That's your first demigod. First proper boss in the game. First like main story boss. Speaking of main story bosses, should we go to? At this point, I went to Caelid because I'm me. So I guess we can do some Caelid stuff. Radon? Why is it called a ham axe? Dunno. That's the name of a dragon later. Now let's do some other bosses in Caelid first. What other bosses are there? Oh, let's do a Deathbird. Yeah, Deathbirds. Deathbirds have been described as a Tweety Pie copy pasta. Oh, creepy pasta, sorry, not copy pasta. You only fight them at night, which is, I can say with quite a lot of confidence, really annoying. Because if you want to fight them again after being killed, you've just got to wait. You just got to sit by the bonfire and wait until it's just an added layer of annoyance to get it. But yeah, they are pretty hard sometimes. There's quite a few of them scattered around, and they get more powerful as the game goes on. They get more abilities, etc. But they're basically like they have themselves a poker, which is a good weapon. I swapped between the normal greatsword and this occasionally because this has frost. Do the bell-bearing hunters count as bosses? I'm gonna count. I'm not gonna count that as a boss, but I will count the one you fight in the shaded castle. So I'll get to that. Thank you for reminding me, though, because that's like the proper one. I guess I should also do Night Cavalry as well. We'll do that before I forget. These look real cool. They are special. I remember fighting this one for the first time again, and it just being like, "What the hell are you?" I had no idea about the mechanic of only bosses that just only appear at night. So I was running through a place I already knew, and I was like, "Oh, this is all fine. Don't worry about it." And then, oh my god, demonic Tweety Pie. What's going on? They're kind of annoying to fight. I like their design, but they are kind of annoying. Because they're very thrashy and very flighty, and also spelly, and spells hurt in this game. You can fight one in Limgrave, and it's as strong as Morgott. I mean, it could be strong, but like there's a proper boss version of it later, and I'm not doing repeats, so. I missed most of those. I only fought one of them. I didn't realize they were a thing. Yeah, Deathbirds. I like them. They're weird and strange. Their fight is a bit annoying, but they're pretty cool. They're not like Moon Presence cool. I can't put it there again. Their fight is more annoying. I'm going to put them slightly lower because their fight is more annoying, but I do like their design. They're cool. There's loads all the same moveset, all bosses. Yeah. That's why I'm not doing them. Night Cavalry. And that'll be the first time I've got to draw a horse. And it won't be the last. But it's a horse that's got a face covering, because Nazgul. This is somebody who rides around on horseback at night. And they don't like you. I think I read somewhere they're like the cavalry of Morgott or something. I don't really understand. But they just ride around on horses being spooky. I can't remember what they look like. They've probably also got a hood thing, but also they're knights, so they got that, and maybe like a plume. They carry a variety of weapons. There are several different versions. Some have like a mace, some have a spear. Just gonna go with the spear. That doesn't make it cool. Make it evil. They look evil. Like I say, very, very sort of Nazgul sort of thing. Thanks. Yeah, I mean these are not as far up my street as other bosses. Like the Deathbird's weird and cool and strange. This is just a guy on a horse. I guess I should also talk about the Tree Sentinel, but we'll have to do the Draconic Tree Sentinel later, so I'll just do it then. They're definitely more suited to Moog, possibly. Yeah, Moog and Morgott. Margit and Morgott are the same person, but Moog is different, even though he looks the same. Anyway, and you can make them kill themselves. You can make them run off cliffs. Do you remember me saying that there was a dragon in a bridge? Well, there's a bridge further down from that with one of these, and you can make them run off the cliff. But yeah, Nazgul on horse Nazgul with spear. They're alright. I mostly just rode past them. Didn't really fight them much. That's how horses look, right? Sure. I'm indifferent towards this largely. They're not annoying. I fought them like I fought animals in Sekiro, which is just a lot of running around. Where's the Blazing Bull? No, the Blazing Bull was cool. I don't think I could put it as high as that. Yeah, Blazing Bull's there. It's not as forgettable as the Leonine Misbegotten. I'll put it there, why not? You're a good D. Solid D. Pretty forgettable, not particularly inspired design, but alright. Good going. Shall I do this now? Why not? This was basically in the right time in the playthrough that I did it. Godskin Apostle. So, Godskin Apostle, much like the Ulcerated Tree Spirit, is the boss that I fought way out of order. I should not have been fighting this boss yet, but I did. I could, so I did. And I learned this boss inside out because I wanted to. And it's very satisfying. This was a boss that killed me in one hit, so it's one of those ones where you just gotta learn every single move, every single thing. They're wearing skin, which is why they're called the Godskins. Godskin Apostle. And they have some funky things. I can't really remember what weapon they have. I want to say it's like a kind of double-sided thing, sort of pokey stick. Double-sided pokey stick. Oh, isn't it like they have like one of them? Yeah, the big. So there's another one of these later that uses like a big needle as a sword. This one has, I think this the Godskin Flayer or something. It's used for cutting the skin off, and then the other one's used for sewing it up. Called Peeler. Is it Peeler? The weird thing about these, I don't really know what these are. Like in the story, they don't really seem to have a connection to anything. Is it just me? They feel like they should be important. They were, I seem to remember like pre-release, this design of this like Godskin person was quite prominent. And then they were just sort of... But yeah, they're made of skin. My favorite thing about this is that I fought them for quite a while trying to learn their moveset. And then I eventually, after a very long period of time, got to phase 2 of the fight. Phase 1 is just like a one-on-one, they're very good with their thing, and they will kill you. And then in phase 2, he turns into spaghetti. He just starts flopping around, and his torso starts stretching out, and he swings around, and it's very silly. Elden Ring is very silly, and I will not hear anybody say otherwise. It's just like it's 2 hours of learning this fight and being like, oh, ultra serious. Oh, this is really cool, sort of one-on-one duel, and then suddenly spaghetti. I loved it. Hi, Kiro. How you doing? They also throw black flame at you, which is apparently a thing in the story. They're nobles who follow the black flame, which hurts gods more. Oh, nice. How you doing, Kiro? You doing good? They just really don't like gods. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, Godskin, I'm not really doing good justice for this. I feel like I should probably draw them as spaghetti, but I mean, I could do that. This is a not inaccurate form of what these guys look like. When they go all spaghettified and they swing around, it's so silly. I love it. I love how silly this is. Wonderfully ridiculous. Black Flame is one of the things that just got sidelined. There's so much in this game that was just never really developed. You can tell it was made by Tanimura. It's just like Dark Souls 2. So much potential. Or some would call it a lack of focus. Yeah, I adore this fight. I have nothing bad to say about it at all. Do you know what? Screw it. I can't think of anything else in this game I'm going to put higher than these, so I might as well just... They're both up there. Ulcerated Tree Spirit. Goldskin Apostle. Top tier. Love them. Might just be the experience of spending 3 or 4 hours just banging my head against it at too low a level and learning every single move. But... gosh, love it. And melting. Oh no. Oh yeah, you said yeah, today was going to be hotter than yesterday. No. Passed out for a bit. No. Hydrate. Stay cool. Get a fan. Hydrating. Good. What else is in this area? I'm going to forget so many bosses in this game. Let's do Radon. Radon is another of the demigods. Yeah, sure. This seems fair. Is angry. Yeah, that's Radon. Radon and Leonard. Leonard is a very tired donkey that he rides. He's like Radon's best friend. It's very adorable. It's something like in the story of, like, you know, when Radon came general, he could be given any steed he wanted, but it was like, no, I've got Leonard. I don't need anything else. And true to his form, Leonard is good. Leonard is a good boy. Radon is bonkers. Do you remember me talking about how silly this game is? Leonard's great. Just checked it. 38 degrees right now. Oh no, that's what it was for me yesterday. Oh no. Try and do nothing if possible. They follow the Gloom-Eyed Queen. I don't know who that is. If Malakath beat to get his sword, so they're death related. Right, cool. Great. They follow somebody who got killed before the game started. Yeah, Radon is absolutely nuts. He is huge. He rides around on this tiny donkey. He literally, at one point in the story, at one point in the fight, becomes a meteor. He just shoots up into the sky and then shoots back down into the meteor, crashing into the floor as an attack. The music stops when he does that. He just flies up in the sky, Music stops, and you're like, what's happening? And then he just comes back down as a meteor. This is just complete over-the-top nonsense, this fight. And is also... I decided to do this on horseback. Apparently that's not a great idea. Apparently this is much more manageable when you're just melee. I think I talked about this on stream before. This experience of doing this boss fight was so stressful that I burst a blood vessel in an eye. But it was really good. This is just insane. Yeah, just very, very silly. I can't really remember he's wearing big armor. Him big. I have not exaggerated these proportions enough. I need to stress. This is more. This needs more. Like fur or something. Lore-wise, he's one of the demigods. He was involved in a war with another one of the demigods who we'll meet later. And he has no... oh yes, that's a good point. Doesn't have feet. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, this boss is absolutely ridiculous. And he basically fought the war, but absorbed all of the rot from the person he was fighting, so that he could try and save the world from the rot spreading even further. But that made him go mad, and now he just wanders around the battlefield eating whatever he can find. And it is up to you to give him a dignified death. He float. He has gravity. Yes, he has gravity magic. He's holding the stars up. He is stopping the stars from falling. There's a lot going on with this guy. And when you kill him, the stars start to fall, and a big meteor crashes into the floor, and the world's different. It's pretty cool. This whole thing is bonkers. As a fight, I'm not a huge fan. Like I say, it was a very sort of intense thing and just a wonderful spectacle. I put a lot of stake into a first experience, and this is a first experience. Also, probably, almost certainly well, actually no. I was about to say the biggest arena of a boss. Gale might have a bigger arena, but you don't need it. You need it in this fight. You can also invite a lot of friends to join in this one, and if you invite Patches to come and fight, he takes one look at this boss and then buggers off. There's a lot about this that's just really, really good. I have very good experiences of this. Again, as a fight, I don't think it's that great, but it's an experience, right? So it's kind of like Divine Dragon sort of thing, but not as like special. I'll put it higher than a Gil. Yeah, sure. Let's put it in A. Again, as a fight, not my favorite. As an experience, pretty darn cool. So I mentioned in a video recently, I think it was outside Xbox, and was like, hey, Chris and your brother really weren't exaggerating this guy. No, we can't exaggerate it enough. It is wonderful. It's completely bonkers. Elden Ring is by far at its best when it is bonkers. I've just realised, is bonkers a British word, or does that translate? It feels like it might be one of those words that's just British. I like it though, bonkers. It's good. Remember your brother talking about this fight, it sounds wild. It's great. One day I will play Elden Ring on stream and you will see. Or you can watch someone else play it. I recommend it. What else is there going on? Oh, let's do some Katakumi things. Oh, there's so many bosses in the side dungeons. Let's do the, I want to call them cats, but they're not, they're dogs. Watchdogs. The watchdogs are weird. Are they actually dogs? Do they have... I'm gonna make them dogs, why not? I think they look more like cats. They've got like multiple faces, because that's a motif in Elden Ring. Again, multiple faces, multiple names. These things... Weird cats, yeah. They're three-headed cats. This was the first boss I remember coming across and going, this is new. This is different, this is weird. These things... They're like gargoyles, I'm pretty sure they're made of stone, and they're sort of there to defend the catacombs and so on and so forth. They're the watchdogs of the burial places, and they move like they're made of stone. They move like an automaton. They're so strange, sort of janky movements. I think they have like a torch on their tail or something, but kind of something like that. They're just really different and very sort of unique. If they were the first thing I looked at and thought, this is new to this world. And they get broken with some items. What, like the AI stops working? I can't remember what they have as a weapon. I'm just gonna give them a stick with a thing on the end. They're gonna thwap you with a stick. They're very jerky movements, and I can't quite articulate. They're one of those things that they are either in perfectly straight motion, or they're not moving, and they're the only two options. There's no acceleration. There's no gradual build up. There's no, and then they move and then they attack. They're either going forwards, forwards, forward, stop, attack, forwards, forwards, forward, forward. It's like just so weird. You have to get used to that kind of. Also, I'm not doing justice to how weird these things look, but these things are weird. You fight them like 10 times because you do it every boss in this game, and they are slightly different each time, but drives them berserk or stuns them with glintstone dagger. Oh, that does that. Oh yeah, you can do that with the imps as well, can't you? Really useful in the fight with two of them, yeah. Or the one where you fight one of them and 4 skeletons, I think. It's very annoying. These are weird. I like them. I like weird. Unique. Interesting. Really quite difficult to get the timing down because they're so jerky. Yeah, the throwables. Yeah, you can use that to open a thing later on by making 2 imps fight each other. Yeah, these are weird. I like them because they're weird, but not really any other reason. I'll put them there. Yeah. I like them because they're weird. What else do we have in caves? Not doing Stone Digger Troll. You could fight so many trolls before you get there. Falling Star Beast? Find that in the cave, didn't you? There's a juvenile and an adult version of the Falling Star Beast. It is basically what happens if a meteor turns into a bull. I'll draw the adult version. The adult version is basically the same, but the face, and by face I just mean rock essentially, just opens up and there's an eye in there. That is a theme we will explore more later. Things from space just having an eye in them. These things are hard. These are real hard. I remember fighting the adult version of this. And beating it after a lot of attempts. And it said enemy felled. Now, for reference, there are various sort of... No, it doesn't have horns there, does it? The horns are more like sort of pincers. It might also have horns. I'm going to give it horns as well, why not? But yeah, for reference, there are various like tiers of enemies you can kill. So for example, like in Bloodborne, you have, I think, Prey Slaughtered if you just defeat a boss. But if you defeat something important, it's like Great One Slain or something. In this, you have the big ones and the powerful ones. But if you just defeat just some random boss, it's called Enemy Slain. And I remember thinking, this was more than a sodding enemy. Thank you very much. Yeah, these are underrated in how difficult they are. I like them because they're weird. Yeah, exactly. In fact, they can stun lock you against a wall is so annoying. I don't remember getting stun locked, but I do remember positioning being vital. Maybe that was to avoid stun locking, I don't know. But yeah, they have like gravity magic that sort of flings you up in the air, and they can throw rocks from the ground. I remember it being satisfying. The fight was actually satisfying, but just so hard. So hard, so unforgiving. It's a very unforgiving fight. But yeah, I have fond memories of them, even though some of those memories are frustration. That's what these games are for. Yeah, weird design as well. Not really quite hitting the mark for me, but it's hitting a mark, and it's hitting that mark well. So, what are you going to do? There'll be another boss in the same vein later. If you get against a wall, you're dead because their movement staggers you. Ah, okay, we'll stay away from the wall then. There's a lot of bosses in the series where if you get in a particular position, you're dead. So don't get in that position. You get against the wall with Quelag, she'll spit lava at you, and then you can't leave because you're surrounded by lava. I like these. Yeah, pretty much the same. Although no, they're a more satisfying fight, but not quite dragon level. Dragon was really cool. These were interesting but slightly frustrating. Yeah, I'll put them there. I like their design less, but I like their fight more than the Watchdogs. That's as helpful as the just parry it advice. Yeah, you learn how to do it. You learn how to make sure that it's a thing you can do. I apologize that you can't do things instantly in these games. We'll talk about that later. At the end. Grit's teeth. What else? More side bosses before we do something important. Snail. I think it has eyes. Snail. Snail summons other things to fight you. So it's a multi-boss fight, but it can also summon other bosses or mini-bosses to do like one-on-ones, but as gauntlets, and they're usually invisible at the start of the fight, so you don't know where they are. But if you can kill them, that kills the boss as well. But sometimes they don't appear until you kill the boss. They're a kind of gimmick, basically. They're an excuse to have more repeat boss fights, but now with the added gimmick of there's something else going on. I think they're cute, but as a fight, they're not particularly useful. Not good, not great. No, I'll put them down there. Snail. I think they're just called snails, right? You can see them with a certain torch or magic. Oh, yes, there is a torch that you can get that reveals like the Black Knife assassins. Should I draw a Black Knife assassin? No, you can fight those as an enemy before you fight them in the thing. So screw that, I guess. Oh, there's also a bunch of bosses in the jails. But a lot of those I would also just consider enemies later in the game. Not in a way that's useful or good. And they're just like side things. I'm going to put Crucible Knight. Let's do a Crucible Knight. I'm going to count Crucible Knights. Even though technically speaking, they follow the tradition of like Black Knights from Dark Souls 1 in being just like the knight that's not in a particular place, but is just sort of wandering, that are just much stronger than anything around them, and that have history. And these ones have antlers, if I remember correctly, coming out of their things. And they were there from the Crucible, which I believe is something to do with Godwin, Godfrey, I forgot. Godwin, I think. Stop having the same names, everybody. Bloody America, name your children more clearly. There's a unique Black Knife one that becomes a summon. Yes, Titch. I know about that one because I watched somebody do a summon-only playthrough and they were like, oh god, I can't get Titch because I can't summon for the Titch fight. God Guy, yes. I love Godfrey as a name because it just makes me think of Dad's Army. It's like, this is not the image you want to invoke. Yeah, so these are kind of... I'm going to include them because you can fight these as a boss. I think the first time we fought them, they were as a boss in like a separate thing called an Everjail. Another thing I don't really understand. Also surrounded by really cool enemies that are just worms made of rocks. Just spheres. They look like something from the Atari. Or the Sega Genesis or something. Godfrey, Godric, Godbob, Godbill. Godefroy. My favourite is Godefroy. which is not Godfrey. It didn't steal the name from Godfrey, and it didn't steal the appearance and moveset of Godric. But yeah, okay, so you have the Crucible Knights. There are various forms of them. And they're just like really tough, and they're mini bosses around the world. There's lots of mini bosses, and there are some that you can fight as like a proper boss. I'm going to include them. There is also a boss fight. There's a boss fight where you fight 2 of them, and there's also a boss fight where you fight 1 of these and 1 of the Leonine Misbegottens. Because hey, if we can't just use the same boss twice, let's just stick 2 of them in a room together. That's interesting, right? Why are they fighting together? These guys are cool. They're hard. They're tough. I'm gonna do one with a spear. I don't know what their spears look like. They're ornate. Oh no, I do know what their spears look like. Their spears look sort of like sort of chandeliers almost. Yeah, these are like the tough one-off mini-bosses that you just see all over the place. Or occasionally as bosses themselves. One of my favorite things about them is that they have certain spells. And they sort of mix and match these spells between them. They usually have 2. Yeah, they use animal powers, and some of them have like wings so they can fly up in the air and swoop at you. Others have tails that they can swish. But my favorite is the ones that have frog breath. They just summon a big like throat sack of like a frog underneath, and then they just breathe out. Curse. I guess it's more basilisks than frogs, but it just looks so frog-like and it's very silly. Again, this game is best when it's silly. I'm going to give you a shield because I can't be bothered to draw your arm. I don't know if you have shields. You do now. They've probably got some sort of crest going on there. Anyway, yeah, Crucible Knights. They're pretty cool. Kind of silly. Also, one of the biggest anticlimaxes in the game, because there's one of them that you see from afar and you can't quite see who they are, and they're just standing on this ledge that you can't get to, and they're looking up at this really cool, isolated place that you also can't get to, and you're like, oh my god, what's going on there? There's some sort of weird story. Will I ever get there? And then later on in the game, you come across them, and it's just another one of these, and they don't give you anything when you kill them, and it's like, oh. That was a really cool story in my head, and there was just nothing. These are fine. They're not as cool as Deathbird, but they're like Black Knights, which are kind of cool. Yeah, I'll put them on par with Knight Cavalry. Why not? There's one above the Halig Tree that uses the wings and will constantly just fly through widows to their death. Widows? Oh, windows from the, yeah. There's quite a few in the Halig Tree, actually, if I remember correctly. Let's carry on with the game. Radagon's Pets. Red Wolf of Radagon, that's what it's called. Red Wolf of Radagon is wolf. It's red. It's called the Red Wolf of Radagon because it's red. And Radagon has red hair, so it's red. It has a sword in its mouth like Sif. It's discount Sif, and you might think, oh, they
legally distinct Sif.
Legally distinct. But here's the thing, you might think they're running out of ideas. Not true, because they ran out of ideas in Dark Souls 3, which is where this boss was originally designed. They cut it out of Dark Souls 3, and then they were like, actually, no, we can make it work in this game. Which, hey, they did the same with the Ulcerated Tree Spirit, and that worked out great. With the Duke guys on, it is an eternal shame that I will not be able to draw any of the Duke guys during this stream, because there is no Duke boss. Rat King. Yeah, this is just a big old wolf with a sword, and it's red. It casts spells. That's different about this one. It casts like magical sort of spear missiles. Because magique, which honestly makes me feel like it's less Radagons the Red Wolf of Radon and more like the Red Wolf of... I should remember her name. She's the next boss. Oh, God. Still draw a Duke guy. We've gone past 8 o'clock. We don't have time. Oh, Ratigan. Oh, I see. Sorry. No, Radagon. Not Ratigan, although I'm perfectly happy to call them Ratigan. When your husband leaves you for another woman and leaves you a wolf, why not teach him magic? Oh, fair enough. What's her name, though? I've got a name. I've got to draw her now. The Red Wolf of Radagon's, it's whatever. It doesn't feel like it's in the right place, in my opinion. It's in a lecture theatre. What? In like Hogwarts. Eggwife. That doesn't help. I'm not particularly fond of that fight. Let's put it quite low. Renala, yes, Renala. Right, let's do Renala. Renala is one of the 2 bosses, I would say, in this game that gave me goosebumps. Visually speaking, this is probably one of the coolest bosses in any of these games. She is great. She's, again, a kind of like... In terms of gameplay, phase 1 is very much like Deacons of the Deep kind of thing. There's a lot of... Speaking of burp, you've got to put some eardrops in. Turns out you do indeed have an ear infection. I need to get my bloody sinuses checked out as well, because this is being silly. But I'm glad you got it sorted out and you've got drops. Yes, Renala, she has an egg. She also looks very pretty, and I can't draw very pretty, so that's not my... Get a long nose. She has lovely music as well. Fight's very cool. So yeah, it's a 2-phase fight. She's at the end of like Magic Hogwarts place. Good like that. She has cool robes. And yeah, 2-phase fight. So 2-phase fight. Phase 1 is like Deacons of the Deep. There's just a lot of sweetings, i.e. sort of like reborn children that fall from like cradles attached to the ceiling. Her thing is all rebirth, right? Sort of basically like they took the idea from Dark Souls 3 and of what's her name? Rosaria, and went, we can make this into something better. So she's got a weird egg thing which allows rebirth. And you got the Sweetings, and they're sort of making a hover in the sky. If you've seen my Elden Ring comic, that's what's happening to M in the 3rd panel. The Sweeting is sort of hovering her. And you just sort of fight the ones that are doing the hovering. She falls to the ground, you attack her, you keep doing that until she does enough damage. And then phase 2 happens, which is the coolest looking thing in the world. So she's like Renala, Queen of the Moon or something. She looks so much cooler than this, and I cannot do her justice. I'm gonna put a big moon behind her. And she has like... She is a spellcaster. She's a wizard. A witch, mage, magician. Probably like the first magic-based boss fight that's actually good. She only really uses... She occasionally throws her stick like a boomerang, but other than that... but she also summons occasionally other enemies, which is a little annoying, but you can pretty much kill them in one hit because they're illusions. But yeah, she's just absolutely gorgeous boss fight. The music, the visuals... you fight her on a ROM-style lake in a twilight moonscape. It's wonderful. It's arguable as to whether or not you're actually fighting Renala at that point, because Renala's a little... She's kind of lost it a bit. She's a bit obsessed with her egg. And so another character kind of steps in and maybe takes over the fight as an illusion of Renala, but it's whatever. She's cool. Um, she's neat. You get like at least A for goosebumps. Yeah, you can. I feel like almost the kind of flip side of Radon. Radon is just absolutely over the top bonkers. This is just gorgeous. Neither of the fights themselves are fantastic. I like gimmick fights, so I like working stuff out, so I'm good with phase 1. A lot of people find phase 1 annoying. That's fair. I personally find having to run back to the boss fight annoying. You invented a new mechanic in this game of being able to respawn right outside the boss arena. Why didn't you do it on this one? I don't know. But yeah, she's really, really cool. Remember seeing this fight? It looks so awesome. Yeah. I guess at this point, I'm trying to think of other things that you fight around this area. Oh, Omen Killer. Omen Killer's an interesting one. How have I not done an Erdtree avatar yet? For God's sake. Let's do an Omen Killer. I was just about to draw it with a goat face. Spoilers. I think they're wearing a mask, right? One of those sort of like... weird face masks, and it's got strange teeth and horns and... because I've done 4 of them already. Okay, yeah. So I say that in this game, I'm not going to draw bosses that are basically just reskins of other bosses, right? However, that is only in this game. This might be the first game in the franchise where I have the option not to draw a boss because it is a reskin of a boss in a previous game. So this is Omen Killer. Omen Killer, I don't really know what they look like. But Omen Killer, I remember when first fighting Omen Killer and sort of walking up to this area and sort of going, there's like enemies in this place and there's some dogs around the corner. And it's a relatively sort of cramped environment, and then there's this enemy here. Oh, it's a boss. The boss fight comes on. He's attacking me with like big cleavers. Oh my god, this is a really cool looking thing. And the cleavers have like horns sticking out of them. So on and so forth. But the dogs are attacking me at the same time. Oh god. This is a pain. I've got to deal with it. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Are you Capra Demon? This is Capra Demon. They took Capra Demon, literally the animations of some of the attacks for Capra Demon, wholesale, and went, let's turn this into something new. And it's kind of cool. Like, they've just developed this idea of this moveset that they had, because Capra Demon's moveset was very limited. It had like 3 attacks. This guy's got loads. And it's just like the clear homage. You fight it in a little garden area. There are dogs in the area. It's so Capra.
No, I'm not Capra. Look, clearly says Omen Killer.
Yeah, exactly. This is if Red Wolf of Radagon was discount Sif, this is like borderline copyright infringing Capra Demon. So yeah, it's just literally, you know, they took animations and used them again. It's wonderful. I like that. I think that's kind of cool. I think if you can take that idea and run with it, do it. Because it didn't feel like it didn't feel lazy. It felt kind of fun in a weird way. It's not a good fight. It's not a, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, this is a really satisfying brawl. It was just a fun Easter egg, you know? It made me smile. So I've got to put it higher than the Red Wolf of Radagon for that. Yeah, let's put it there. It's a nice little fun thing. Speaking of Erdtree avatar, hey, do you remember how the Omen Killer was like Capra Demon, and they just like took the skeleton of Capra Demon and then, you know, decided to try and take the animations and turn them into something else? What if we did that, but for the Asylum Demon in Dark Souls 1? Well, that sounds like a great idea, Jim Bob. Why don't we give that a go? And so the Erdtree avatars were born. And these are like big bits of like rotten tree, I guess. They look after the trees. And they have big hammers. I think of like that. But yeah, this is, again, literally the skeleton, some of the animations, some of the attacks of the Asylum Demon, but expanded upon, and has some gimmicks of its own. You fight a lot of these, because there are a lot of... In the game, there's the big tree called the Erd Tree, but there's a lot of, like, smaller Erd trees, minor Erd trees, ones that have grown from seeds that have fallen off it, stuff like that. And that's what these guys protect. Whenever you go near one, you're probably going to find one of these somewhere. Oh yeah, that reminds me, worms. We'll do worms after this. Yeah, Erdtree avatars are sometimes decent fun. You'd think trees would have axes. I think one of them... No, they all have hammers, don't they? There's a couple of different versions of these. But generally speaking, one of the things to bear in mind is that they are basically as good as Asylum Demon. Possibly a little bit more in terms of having a few more attacks to dodge and learning how to do that. But we've coined the phrase before, running from vomit. There's a lot of running from vomit in these fights. They have a lot of like AoE attacks or attacks that fire particles over long periods of time, so you got to run around in a circle so they don't hit you. Yeah, there's a bit of just sort of busy work with these bosses. Don't mind me, I forgot to turn the light on. But I have kind of fond memories of these things. They're a little tedious with the whole running from vomit, but you know, I was never unhappy to see one. Vanguard, Asylum Demon, Erdtree avatars, the evolution of Souls bosses. Yes, I haven't played Demon Souls, but apparently the Asylum Demon is basically a retread of the first boss in Demon Souls as well. So it's a long-standing tradition. I think they're fine. They're alright. They're not really as satisfying as that, but I'll put them with the Deathbirds. Why not? Worms. So one of the... Not all of the Erd trees are doing well. Some of them are diseased. Some trees disease. And others just are doing really badly altogether. So the ones that aren't doing so well might not have Erd tree avatars defending them, but they might have things that are, you know, dealing with the rot that exists around. Maybe eating the rot. I don't know what's going on with them. So that's where Worm Face comes in. I don't know what Worm Face is. It's got worms for a face. It spews death at you. And death in this game is brutal. I don't mean little d death, I mean capital D death. It's a status effect. It kills you instantly, unsurprisingly, but in a very brutal fashion. I remember when it first happened to me when I discovered the basilisks were in this game. And it happened to me and I was like, oh my god, oh my god! But yeah, these things are, Something Prince of Death. Yeah, there's stuff. I guess we'll get to that later. Will we? I'm not drawing Fierce Champions. I don't even remember how to fight this boss. So, down you go. You there? No, I like the worms for a face. That's all they got going for them, but it's a good thing to have going for you. Vomit's not bad, the bolts of light are a pain. That's what I meant. I'm using metaphorical vomit here. Anything that you have to just run from and it just sort of wastes your time, that is running from the vomit, as far as I'm concerned. But it does also spew, the rotten ones spew vomit. Anyway. Sorry for a blind lady doing some laundry and grabbing your meds. You do that. Good old metaphorical vomit. Yeah. I've run out of ideas. What are we doing? Okay, we're a decent way through. Let's do more dragons. So I said there's like 10 copies of the dragon I drew first. That's not the only type of dragon, though. There is a different type of dragon fight that is fundamentally... It doesn't have the same moves, it doesn't have the same appearance, it has a different sort of feel to it. So I'm going to consider it a separate boss. And there's a few copies of those as well. I don't really know how to draw it to make it look different. I think they have like longer necks. The one that I'm going to think of as the kind of prototypical one is the first one I saw, which is Lanciacs. I don't know how to make this look like. I'm going to give it big horns. So yeah, there's quite a lot of different types of dragon in this game. These ones are fly, and they've got lightning and all sorts of stuff going on. Mainly lightning. Lightning's the sort of big thing that, you know, in this game, the dragons have lightning. That's how you know it's not Dark Souls. They have very big wings. So here's Lanciacs and the Placidusacs. No, not Placidusacs. We'll get to Placidusacs. I can't remember their names. No, Fortisacs. I'm not thinking of Lanciacs. I'm thinking of Fortisacs. God. You see what I mean about names in this game? Yes, thank you for reminding me. They have multiple sets of wings. That's why I thought their wings were big, because they have a lot of them. And there's also the Lich Dragon. Oh, that's Fortisacs, isn't it? No, that's not Fortisacs. Oh, I don't know names. This game has a problem with names. Or I have a problem with this game and names. So yeah, these I consider these, you know, they are yet more dragon fights that you just do in the overworld, but they are fundamentally different in mechanics and moves and all that sort of stuff. So I'm considering them separate, at least in terms of drawing them and talking about them. I don't really like them any more than the originals. In fact, I might actually like them less, but because their lightning is annoying. And this is the first boss in the game, I guess I would say, is like a camera boss. You know, mostly just struggling to look at the thing. But that might just be me. I don't know. I don't recall having a particularly good fight with any of these. And there's like one in a dream world later on that's all weird, and there's just constantly lightning coming down. Not fun. You know, the design's cool. They're cool for a dragon. They're a cool dragon. They're cool dragon. If you like dragons, boy howdy does Elden Ring have you sorted for dragons, because there's cool dragons bloody everywhere. You turn a corner, poof, dragon. Walk down the road, oh god, there's a dragon. Go to the shops, grab a packet of chips, oh god, there's a dragon. They're bloody everywhere. They're like rats. Dragon is dragon. Like I say, I like it slightly less than the proper ones. Actually, slightly less than that. Slightly less than that. Slightly less than that. I don't really like the fight. I can't put it higher if I don't like the fight. Sure, they look cool. Let's put them there. It's a fall from grace, isn't it? From being there. Almost A. Those ones. What else can we do? What else can we do? What else is there to do? Possibly to do. Let's do Onyx Lord. We have so much more to do. Oh my god, I'm really far behind. Onyx Lord is like a balding man made of stone. I think he's made of meteor. He fires meteors at you. I think he might have elf ears as well. This kind of breaks my rule because I did fight this as an enemy before fighting it as a boss, but it was a mini boss. It didn't respawn, so I'm gonna consider that acceptable. It sort of summons meteors and throws them at you. And by meteors, I mean just chunks of rock out of the ground. I don't know why I called them meteors. Made of meteor. Yeah, it's made of onyx, I guess. And the implication is that a meteor crashed down and he was just part of it, I guess. Same as the, these guys. Made of meteor. That's a bit of a thing in this game, being made of meteor. Another story thread that wasn't really developed in any way. He's got a sword. Onyx blade. I don't know what it looks like. I don't care about swords. I remember this fight being alright. Remember some fun learning of a couple of attacks, but not much. Yeah, you fight those guys really early. Yeah, well, it's like it's bloody Miranda flower as a boss in this game. It's stupid. I'm also not going to do Beast of Farah Missoula, even though that you don't fight that until much later in the game. That would technically qualify, but it just still feels like an enemy in a room. It felt like an enemy in a room even before I knew that they would only appear again at the end of the game. So, but yeah, that's a thing. They're all right. They're fine. They're unremarkable. They're not as cool as them. Sort of. They didn't make me smile, so I put them there. Let's do Godskin Noble. We've talked about the Godskin Apostle. Let's talk about the Godskin Noble. Godskin Apostle's tall and thin. Godskin Noble, big and round. Same sort of design. Wearing skin. But this time they have a very thin sword, a rapier, and by sword I mean needle. That they jab you with very quickly. And instead of turning into spaghetti in their second phase, they roll. They fly up into the air, they turn sideways, and then just roll really, really fast around. Again, very silly. So yeah, this is like the other half to the Godskin Apostle. Don't enjoy this fight as much, it must be said. It doesn't quite have the same level of sort of satisfaction to it. There's a lot of attacks that are just like, they are fair, they just don't kind of feel particularly fair. They just come out way too quickly, and I don't know. I feel like Godskin Apostle is a much better designed, like, honed fight. It feels much more, I don't know, enjoyable to learn and to execute than Godskin Noble. I have a chunky rolling noble. Oh, you'll love this fight then. You fight like 3 of these again around the world. I'm doing this now because while I think the first time I thought this as a boss is a bit later on, I did fight this as a mini boss beforehand, and then I fought it as a mini boss on behalf of Snail, who decided that I should fight the Godskin Apostle and then a Godskin Noble before it appeared. So I fought these two together in a nice little boss fight early on. And then later on in the game, you fight them together at the same time. Godskin Noble, Godskin Apostle, they become the Godskin Duo. A much less interesting and less significant version of Ornstein and Smo with a worse mechanic, where just when you kill one, it'll revive until the health bar gets to 0. It's basically, what if we took Throne Watcher and Defender, made them less interesting, and made them just one of a bunch, and didn't give them interesting jobs or names? I don't like that fight. You can put them to sleep really easily, that's kind of fun. There's a new status effect in Elden Ring, you can just put enemies to sleep. And these guys, real easy to put to sleep. They sleepy. Yeah, Godskin Noble. Less, not, yeah, no, there, yeah. That seems fair. Magma worm. The magma worm. It's worm with a Y. We've already done worm face. Magma worm is I don't know really. It's a magma worm. Does it have multiple eyes? It might have multiple eyes. I don't really know what's going on with it. It's kind of like a sort of dragon. Not really. I think it's what you turn into if, lore-wise, if you keep partaking of dragon communion. Which is how you get like dragon abilities. You kill enough dragons, you get their abilities, and if you keep doing that, you're going to turn into one of these this day. This is one day. Don't do dragons, kids. This is, I don't know, unremarkable. I would say. I almost forgot it, but I remembered it for a couple of reasons. One, depending on which way you go in the game, you may have to actually fight this to get through. You don't have to, but you might. And secondly, this is the boss I was thinking of when I was talking about these guys, and killing this says enemy felled, and killing this says great enemy felled, and this is way easier. It's a guy who tried to be a dragon and failed. Yeah, pretty much. It's alright. It's fine. I feel like it should be cooler than it is, but by the time you fight this thing, you've already fought like 30 dragons, so... This game's pacing is all over the place. There's no build-up. It's just everything at once. It has a sword that it might use. It's like a kind of really big sort of blobby thing. I do not care one way or the other with this boss. There's a version later on in the game that has like so much health, and it turns out, I didn't know this, it turns out you're supposed to get the octopuses that are in the same area to fight it for you, and that basically makes it trivial. I didn't know that, so I just fought it for 10 hours. Let's stick him there. No. Stick him there. Yeah. I'm slowly moving up the map in my head. I've probably missed stuff. We're about halfway through. Oh god. There's 20 minutes till I say that I'm going to end the stream. We have so much to do. How many have I drawn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I've drawn 22. So we are over halfway in terms of drawing. Almost a third. I guess we're in Gelmir. So, Rykard? Speaking of recycled bosses, Rykard. Join the Serpent King as a family. The weirdest voice acting. Done by somebody who thought they were going to put effects on afterwards, and they just didn't. I love watching that interview. So this is a two-phase gimmick fight, where you get given a weapon that is just really good against the boss and fires projectiles. Next week is part 2. No, we can do it all today, depending on how long I want to complain about the last boss. But yeah, this is a kind of cool idea. It's a big serpent, big snake, and you fight the big snake. It's a huge, like you're like here, like hello, big snake, and it's surrounded by lava. So you have to use the weapon that does projectiles. It's like Yorm from DS3. You get given a weapon, you do it. But halfway through, it's revealed that there's a face on the snake, the face of somebody who was consumed by the snake, and this is Rykard. And he has a weird face. It sort of almost looks feathery in a strange way. And he talks to you about stuff. Like joining the Serpent King as family. Join the Serpent King as family. It's so weird. Look up the cutscene for this. This is Rykard. And then he like pulls a sword out of the mouth of the snake, which is made of like the arms of other people who have been consumed by the snake. It's very Bloodborne. And this is appropriate for being very Bloodborne because this is a boss that was recycled from Bloodborne. I haven't seen anyone really talk about this, but it absolutely is. In the beta release that they showed off at E3 for Bloodborne, people have gotten hold of that beta release. They've been able to revert the game to its original source. There was where the Shadows of Yharnam were at the end of the Forbidden Woods. There was a giant snake ball boss, and it got cut because it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. Again, the camera is an issue. It attacking you from directions without you being able to see it is an issue. And so they decided to try it again here, but instead they gave you a weapon that you can use from a long way away. Solves the problem. So yeah, again, never throw away ideas because you never know when they're going to come in handy. This boss is weird. It's a gimmick boss. It's not. Its gimmick is a bit, which is, you know, pick up the weapon and use the weapon. But it's also not trivial. This is not a boss fight that is made easy with that weapon. It is a boss fight that is made doable with that weapon. It's like a big old snake bundle. Surrounded by lava. I have not done justice to the face here. The face is weird. It doesn't matter. And here's the snake down here. Blech. Kill your darlings, but save the details you do to maybe use later. Exactly. Don't always finish everything, but don't throw things away completely. Yeah, it's a big old snake ball. It's a spectacle. This is a spectacle. It's very over the top, very Bloodborne. Doesn't really fit with anything else in the game, but hey, that's quite a lot of Elden Ring, to be honest. You just grab the weapon, grab the weapon out and upgrade it. I mean, I didn't even bother upgrading it. Just it did quite well as it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly a fan either way of this fight. It's all right. It's a spectacle. I certainly wouldn't want to see it leave, but not particularly enthralled by it. I could put it there. There. I'm gonna put it there. Not because it's a similar sort of fight to these two, but because it's special. That's another one of the demigods. He deliberately got eaten by a snake so that he could do that. Praetor Rykard. Let's do Tree Sentinel. Arguably, this could be your first proper boss in the game. This is like I've got to draw another bloody horse. This is like an armored horse. There's an armored guy on an armored horse. Oh, I haven't done Loretta yet. Speaking of, hang on. Let me draw a basic person on a horse. Like that. I'm now going to copy and paste that. So let's do the Tree Sentinel. Not Tree Sentinels. What am I talking about? Draconic. No, it's Draconic Tree Sentinel. Yeah. So this guy has a big old spiky shield. Slams down on you as well as a big old sword. I can't remember the armor. Does it have the thing? The sort of for this? I think it has that, but it's also spiky. Everything's made of, I think, like dragon scales or something. Horse is just like, this is so heavy. Tree Sentinel was a trap for Souls vets, who then spent hours trying to fight it instead of actually playing an open world game. Yeah, I skipped the first Tree Sentinel because I was like, I'm not having fun with you. Moving on. You know, I talk about, you know, fighting the Godskin Apostle and the Ulcerated Tree Spirit at way too low a level. The reason I fought them at way too low a level is because they were really fun. The Tree Sentinel, however, no. No, I wasn't going to fight that at too low a level. I think they have a... Do they have a spear or a sword? They have a thing. Probably a hammer, to be honest. I'm going to give them a huge hammer. Like a big old lumpy thing. These guys guard the entrance to the main city. Lendl. City of Gold. Yeah. It's kind of... You killed him because his halberd is cool. Nice. I have nothing really to say about this boss. They also guard the entrance to a boss later on. But you can just run past them. I didn't because I'm belligerent. Not belligerent. I keep saying belligerent. Bullheaded. What's the word? Stubborn. Yeah, that's them. They are them. I guess yeah. Gives me a kind of sort of more Godric kind of vibe in terms of the fight. There's nothing really annoying about it. It's just a kind of well executed fight. They're on a horse. You can fight them on a horse if you want to, but I find them easier not. Yeah. Cool. Marvelous. Speaking of being on a horse, Loretta. I think she also has this helmet thing going on, but I think hers is like that. Loretta is magique, c'est magique. You fight her twice, actually. Once as an illusion, once as the actual person, much later on in the game. She's kind of cool looking, and she has spells. She casts spells on her thing. She probably has like a kind of rapier sort of thing. No, she has a lance, right? Oh, I can't remember. There are too many enemies in this game. Probably something like that. But also spells, so it's going to have a gem in it. Which I think is bigger than that, right? Loretta is a fight. You can't fight her on a horse, if I remember correctly. So she's on a horse and you're not allowed to be. I don't know what her horse looks like. I killed her too quickly. She is, I guess, technically quite important for the story, but not really. It's Loretta. She has a name, so that's something. Honestly, a lot of women in this story get really kind of shafted as just not actually having anything good to do. We'll get to that. I'm going to give you some nice flowy robes. But yeah, you fight her as an apparition first off, and then later on you fight her properly. She's basically the same in both, but harder in the latter. Eggwife. Eggwife gets basically all of the interesting story. But even then, like, the Eggwife and Rani, basically. They get the interesting stuff. Horse. Loretta's, I feel about the same as Loretta as I do Tree Sentinel, to be honest, so there you go. Everyone's lining up on parade. I forgot that entire area with the hands. I think that's the only boss there. There's another big dragon. I think that's it. Yeah, okay, let's go to Lendl. Right, we're finally in the main city. What's there? We won't do Moog yet. Let's just do the story. So, Godfrey. You fight Godfrey as an apparition. He is the first Elden Lord. And he comes across as like a golden ghost, and I think he has like a beard, right? I can't remember exactly what he looks like. He's got hair. He's a big old muscly man, and he's got a big axe. This is what I would describe as a very good old-fashioned fight. I remember. Do you remember you talking about Morgott and there being like a lot of delayed attacks that are explicitly designed to trick you into rolling at particular times, and it feels very much like the game is just tricking you rather than being, you know, it's not the characters feel like they should be doing something else, but the game designers tell them not to, if that makes sense. This is to me, this is the epitome of a fight that just like does really well without doing that. The dance for this fight is very good. I talked about that with like Sullivan. This idea of fights having a particular dance to them. This has a good dance. And he's got a big axe. I really like this fight. That's how I'm going to draw Godfrey. The cartoonish round nose and big eyebrows. Big old legs. He's wearing armor, he's not actually naked, I don't know why I drew abs. But he's gold, so it's difficult to tell, really. He's a golden ghost. Because, you know, he ain't Elden Lord no more. Presumably dead. Or is he? More on that later. He's probably wearing shoes. Sandals? Doesn't wear him sandals. Let's wear him sandals. Yeah, that's a sentence, Chris. But yeah, this is just a good fight. I like this fight. For now. Elden at his best at. This is good. I like this. Yeah. I like this. This is a good fight. This is, I think, better than the sort of average sort of Morgott sort of fighty things. I like it more. It has good flow. Where is Sullivan, actually? Where did I put Sullivan? I don't know. Where did I put Sullivan? Oh, I put Sullivan in A. Yeah, I'll put this in A. I don't see why I would put this in A. Why not? Oh, well, see, this is where it messes with my system. Okay, I'm gonna put Renala at A+, and Godfrey at A. I think that's reasonable. That's good. Fine with that. You then fight Morgott. Some stuff happens. You can then go into the underworks. Actually, I did this before I fought this boss. And you can fight Moog. Or you can fight one version of Moog, and then you'll fight another version of Moog later, because bosses are bosses. Moog is like Morgott, but with more horns, and he can count to 3. So his deal is that he wants to start a dynasty with his stepbrother. I don't really understand, so he abducted his stepbrother. It's a little bit weird. Welcome to a world created by George R.R. Martin. There's incest. Moog. Yes, Moog. Spelled differently, M-O-H-G, but pronounced the same. He has a horn going into his eye, which I think is a cool detail. One of his horns is growing in, and that's probably unpleasant. Got a very beastie face. He looks cool. This big old sort of capey thing. He is the Lord of Blood, as it were. And he has the powers of Nihil. Because he counts to 3, or counts down from 3 in Latin. And when he gets to 0, Nihil, he will shout Nihil, and blood things will happen. And he gets wings. I might as well draw the wings. Blood wings. Definitely a GRM world, yeah. I think George R. R. Martin probably set up, from what I know of George R. R. Martin's work and from what I know of FromSoft's work, I feel like this sort of whole idea of infighting royal families and incest and all that sort of, I think that echelon of the story was his idea. It feels very on brand for him. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that didn't really go anywhere that were sort of FromSoft's ideas. But yeah, he's Nihil. He's cool. He looks cool. He's got a different feel to everything else in the game. I found the fight quite satisfying, but in phase 2, he throws like things on the floor which hurt you if you stand in them, and I don't like that. That's always annoying. Because that means I have to look at the floor and him, who's in the sky quite a lot. So, great. Good old incest plots, yeah. Yeah, his stepbrother is Mikola. We will get to Mikola later. Although, well, actually, we get to Mikola now, because Mikola, you know, Moog abducted Mikola, and Mikola is in the boss arena in an egg. Because Mikola is sleeping or something. But more on that later. Much later. Yeah, this is Nihil, also known as Moog. He's really cool, if you like that kind of thing. If you like demons, and like black-winged angels of demons, and blood, and it's just a really well-designed one of those. You know what I mean? Why my clumsy fingers interrupted you saying was if you had a horn growing into your eye socket, you'd probably make some bad choices as well. Yeah, you'd probably be quite annoyed at your lot in life. Yeah, as a fight, I think it's pretty good. I remember having some good times with it. The floor is the most annoying thing though, and that always knocks it down for me. Am I going to put you there? You look pretty cool. I don't want to... see, this is where I want a middle. I want in between this level, because I don't really like the design as much as those two, but it is a better fight and a better design than this lot. So I'll put him up here. Nihil! There is one component for the physique which completely nullifies his attack before phase 2. Marvelous! I know he is susceptible to bleed. Which, given that he's the blood god, is a bit of a weird thing. He does have a mechanic though where he gets stronger every time you bleed him, but it just does so much damage it doesn't matter. I like Moog. Moog is weird. He's cool. He feels like, and this isn't the case, but it kind of feels like if you look at Morgott and you look at Moog, it looks like they were trying to design a character, and Morgott was like the second attempt, and Moog was the 5th. And they were like, okay, no, we've got the good one now. We'll go with Moog, but they decided to keep the second attempt as well. They decided to keep one of the earlier unrefined ones. The hemophiliac that loves blood. Yeah. You drink the thing, he doesn't steal your health. Yeah. What are we doing now? We are, I guess, going to... Oh, there's like all the underground stuff. I forgot about all the underground stuff. Okay, let's do the underground stuff. I'm not doing Mimic. Regal Ancestor Spirit. Or, well, Ancestor Spirit and Regal Ancestor Spirit, because no boss can appear in this game exactly once. Ancestor Spirit and Regal Ancestor Spirit are deer, essentially. They're like dead deer, so I guess they're like skeletal, sort of. And their whole thing is that they look like they're straight out of Sekiro. In fact, they probably were a Sekiro boss that got cut, to be honest, but I'm not complaining, because we got it eventually. This is very much another one of those spectacle fights. It's not really a fight, which makes me wonder why would they put it in twice. I don't know. But yeah, you fight this skeletal deer and this wonderful thing. It flies around and fires blue flame at you, and It's really cool. And the gimmick for the second one you fight is that there are a lot of like ghost animals in the arena. And halfway through its fight, it will basically absorb the life essence of a lot of those ghost animals and heal itself. Which, hey, everyone loves boss fights that go on longer, right? For no fault of your own, they just do. How'd you draw a kind of skeletal deer? I don't know. Yeah, whatever, it's cooler than this. The music for this fight is the best music in the game. I played it during the intro, because it's just great. Surprisingly, Yuka Kitamura, whose work I have criticized quite a lot in the past for being derivative. Turns out she's got some ideas, and I'm glad she got to use them. He does hop. There's a little bunny hopping. He also spin. A lot of enemies spin in this game. He does like the sheep, he spin. Yeah, this is not a hard fight by any stretch of the imagination. I think the powered up version, the normal version took me 2 attempts. The powered up version took me 1, because I already knew it from the first one. Not a hard fight, but a spectacle. Where am I going to put you? Not a hard fight, but a spectacle. Not a hard fight, but a spectacle. Yeah, I'll put you here. I'll put you with the dragons. Seems kind of similar. Similar sort of vibe. Honestly, Elden Ring's doing pretty good. But then again, I am cutting out a lot of the bosses that would just go right to the bottom, so... you know, my main issue with Elden Ring is that it just repeats itself too much to the point that it makes things feel not special, but the stuff that is in there is very good, so I can't really complain too much. What's next? He's seen. What else is down below? Oh. Dragonkin Warrior. How the hell am I going to draw this? I don't know how to draw this. It's like, how did I draw, whatever his name was. Vort. There, he reminds me of Vort. These guys. That kind of like beast-like armored humanoid thing, but these ones are like also things that tried to turn into a dragon but didn't really succeed, I guess. There's various versions of this. Some of them fly, some of them don't. Some of them are in the middle of a lake of rot. I hate you sometimes, From Software, I really do. But yeah, these are... I don't know. These feel like they should be more significant, but honestly I felt they were quite unremarkable. In any other game, this would be a really cool final boss, and these are just like incidental things you fight. Such is the scale of these games. Like, I would love to see FromSoft do a really small scale game. I guess Sekiro was kind of... Yeah, a lot of Sekiro was just like a person versus a person, so it had that kind of slightly more reasonable scale, and then when you fought a demon, it was significant. In this game, like, my first boss was a dragon in this. They're the result of people trying to make dragons and they just died of old age. Great. Yeah, these Dragonkin soldiers. They're kind of cool. You fight the main one of them. There's always a main version. Some of these. But you fight that in like an arena that I can only assume is a Bloodborne reference. Because it's full of the little white blood cell guys from Bloodborne, the messengers. Big statues of those. Is this game about the fear of getting hideous illness, dying and rotting away? Pretty much. A lot of FromSoft games are all about like trying to get eternal life and dealing with the consequences, or rot or decay, so on and so forth. Pretty much all FromSoft games deal with those sorts of themes. In one way or another. I don't particularly care much about this boss. They're kind of cool. Their design is cool. Yeah, actually, no, yeah. Magma one. Perfect example. Perfect analogy. It's like the Magma one. Moving on. Astal. How on earth do I draw Astal? Which is an ironic statement, because it's an alien. So Astal is something that fell from the space. And it's like there's a skull, but instead of eye sockets, there's just a big hole in the skull, and inside the hole in the skull is an eye. Which is a kind of cool design in and of itself, right? That's kind of a cool, creepy kind of thing, like an alien that just sort of looks like a skull, but there's an eye in it. Now, I would have stopped there. I would have gone like, put that on a thing, you're golden. They then added pincers. Gave him like a kind of really thin sort of body that just sort of moves around like this. And then gave it a tail made of like planets with like bits orbiting around that just stretches off really, really far. Like this honestly feels like it was designed by like a 5-year-old who just put all the cool things on it. There was no like restriction on this design. It was just whatever. Let's put the things, planets, and they're bugs. I like bugs. Bugs are cool, and skulls. And it's just like the first time you see this, it is an experience because it is unlike anything else in the game. It does not fit, and it is not trying to fit. It comes from space. Oh no, earwigs are your least favorite things in the world. This is like a giant. I should specify that you are about this big. This is a big thing. This fight is kind of cool, I guess. You hate them too, because they're a thing. But yeah, they've got a lot in common with the Falling Star Beast. Here, they got the eye inside the thing. They got the pincers. It's very similar. They fell from space in some capacity. There's definitely a thing going on. Interestingly, this actually comes under the classification of bosses you fight as enemies before you fight them as a boss. Because in another area underground, one of these is just sort of hanging from the ceiling and firing meteors at you. And you can happily kill it at that point, and I did. So yeah. It's a completely different thing. It's the same model, but it's doing a completely different set of things. Gotta love those space creatures in your medieval fantasy game. Yep, there's a lot of space stuff, a lot of things to do with moons and stars and peering into the cosmos. Again, that's another, Bloodborne does that a lot. Had to put your fingers in your ears, protecting them, reading the word. Well, this is Astal. Astal is Astal. I'm quite fond of this. It's not, the design is a bit too over the top for me, but I would rather have, his grab attack is a vigor check. Yeah, exactly. And there's a harder version of it later in the game that does a grab where it copies itself. It like disappears and then it comes down from the ceiling and grabs you. but it copies itself like 6 times, and like 6 versions of it come from the ceiling and grab you. And it's mildly terrifying the first time that happens. I think there's a thing on the end of this as well, I'm not sure. Anyway, Astal. It's a spectacle. It's bizarre. It's not my sort of thing because it's just too much. It's like the Digimon of of Dark Souls bosses, Elden Ring bosses. Just didn't quite know when to stop. But I think I like it because it's just so over the top, and I remember it being a fun fight. Oh yeah, I'll put it in this sort of category of like with the deer, I guess, that kind of spectacle sort of thing. What else is there underground? Oh, I haven't done the night. Oh god, we're gonna be here for bloody ages. Okay, Briar Knight or whatever it's called. Elmer of the Briar, something like that. I can't remember what you look like, so I'm gonna give you a crown of thorns because you're covered in thorns. Thorns are a thing in this game to do with death. You have a mask, right? I don't know what the mask is, so I'm gonna give you a wooden mask. I don't remember what you look like. All I remember is that you telepathically control your sword that is covered in thorns to spin at me. That I remember. Spin, 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 spin. Otherwise, you're just covered in armor and covered in thorns. So, Elmo of the Brian. It's Elmo, everybody. They've not done well since they left Sesame Street. The problem is that I associate this boss with castanets, which has absolutely nothing to do with the fight, but it's because Patch's questline, like, not really ends here, but kind of ends here. He wants you to think it ends there. And you find him outside this boss fight dying. And he's like, oh my god, tell this person that I appreciate them. Here, give them these. And he gives you some castanets. I don't know why he gives you castanets. You go to the person to give them to them, and she doesn't care. And I'm just like, why castanets? I don't understand. So that's my overriding memory of this boss. Is why castanets? It's got nothing to do with the boss at all. Yeah, I don't. You fight this also as like a kind of mini version in a bunch of places because they have bell bearings, which are ways you can buy things from shops. I remember it being kind of frustrating because the moveset is very unpredictable. But I like Sith powers in Elden Ring. Patches, you trolling piece. Yeah, that's Patches for you. It's Falling Star Beast up there. We've done Gelmir, the right card. And you go down, there's these things, there's another worm. More Landel stuff. We've gone down to the sewers. Is there a boss in the sewers? There's Moog. But there's not like a boss elsewhere in the sewers. You can go down to the place where you fight. So you go to the God of Death place. There's no unique boss there. There's Fia's champions, not drawing them. I've already done the gank squad in Dark Souls 2. It's basically, hey, do you remember where did I put them? Yeah, do you remember these 3 guys? It's like that, but longer. It does actually have some story connotations though. And then you fight another big dragon. I've already drawn those. So I guess we go to... Oh, Gargoyles. Oh, for God's sake. Do you remember Gargoyles from Dark Souls 1? Do they have hats? I'm gonna give them hats with horns. Antlers. Why not? What if Gargoyles, but again? It's literally the same gimmick as Dark Souls 1. You fight one, and then halfway through another one comes along. And and they have different weapons. Only this time they spit poison because they're not too happy because they're made of people. These ones are like assembled from like corpses, so they've got like two heads. So there's like one head looking that way, looking very upset, and then another head like there, just sort of stitched on. You can't really see that in a fight. I only know that because somebody made a video about it a couple of days ago. But their weapons are also sort of affixed with corpse wax, so that's a thing. That's an idea that they didn't really develop in Sekiro, but did here. This is annoying. It's a 2-enemy fight, and they spit poison from long distances. I don't like it. Go away. We've had enough of this. Quite frankly, you can go. They're part stone, part people, yeah. Cemetery Shade, before I forget. Cemetery Shade is a shade you fight in the cemetery. They are a unique boss in this game in the fact that they don't have much health. They really don't have much health at all. But what they do have is intense speed and a lot of damage, and they will just wreck you before you know what's going on. But if you can manage to basically land a couple of hits on them, you're fine. So it's got an interesting little thing. It's different. It's a different little thing in the game. I don't wish it ill. We'll put it there. A bit like Omen Killer. Made me smile, but not particularly much to write home about. Let's do Fire Giant. Fire Giant is clearly inspired by Scandinavian folktales. At least that's what it feels like to me. Because it's a big giant and it's got like braids and stuff. It's got that kind of wonderful sort of Scandinavian sort of feel to it. With a big nose and a big chin and so. One of his legs is not doing well, which I didn't know when I first fought it. That's his weak spot. This is huge, by the way. Big giant. No gimmick for this one. You just got to hit it with your sword. Well, its leg is the gimmick, but you know, attack that, it'll fall over, and you can do a bit more damage, but not much. Here's the thing, though. Phase 2. That's what everyone talks about because Phase 2 is really cool. Phase 2 is when the god of the fire giants shows up. Because the god of the fire giants was there all along. In it. It's got like sort of multiple pupils. So you get one of those cool things where there's just like a face in the chest. And he casts fire, and you can run around on your horse and try and avoid it, and big old fireballs, and he's using the lid of the kiln of the flame of the thing. I don't remember what it's called. It's basically a big thing with a fire in it for plot purposes. And he's using the lid of that to attack you, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I unfortunately am observant and saw this before the reveal happened, but that would have been fun. Oh well. That's what it is. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because it's not to scale, but nothing in these games is to scale, so. Because the actual kiln itself is bloody huge. And this guy's big, but not that big. Right, cool. We're almost in one of the last areas. 5 bosses left. I think we can do that. Where does Fire Giant go? I like the gimmick. I think the fight itself is fine. The camera's not that much of an issue, to be honest. You would think it would be, but it's not. If you're careful. Well, not for me, anyway. Your mileage may differ. If your power is fire and you don't power a kiln, what are you even doing? Yeah, the people, believe it or not, the people who worship trees don't like the fire. I'll put this in the kind of Moog territory of just like a really cool thing with a fight that's slightly annoying, but otherwise alright. Why not? Okay, last 2 areas, kind of. Malakath. Grunk and Malakath. Actually, I don't think it's Grunk, it's just... I can't remember the name of the first phase. This is a 2-phase fight. I can't even remember. What does Malakath look like? Like it's a wolf, right? Kind of a wolfy thing? Kind of... That's not a wolf. It's got sort of like big sort of whooshy stuff going on. So Malakath the Black Blade is sort of, I think, I don't even know. There's some story going on with Malakath. I don't know what it is. Big wolf boy, yeah. Well, you know what I'm like drawing dogs, so. You fight him phase 1 as like he's all robed up and he has a completely different moveset, and I learned that fight inside out. Because boy howdy did phase 2 kill me immediately a lot. But yeah, he's got the Black Blade, which is red, and it swishes things at you and it reduces your maximum health. And boy, can he jump! He jumps all over the place. He does spins in the air. He's incredibly acrobatic. But yeah, I found there's a special item used to parry him. I tried several times and did not succeed once. I misinterpreted what it was. I thought it was originally to deflect the spell, the Black Blade thing that he casts at you, and that doesn't work. Or not, to dispel it, not to deflect it. So yeah, I spent quite a lot of time trying to work out how this fight works, and none of it actually worked. Looks kind of squiggly, I think. Yeah, he looks cooler than this. I apologize for the fact that this looks literally nothing like the boss. I didn't have much of a time to look at him, because he's constantly jumping all over the place and then immediately kills me. I find, personally, phase 1 of this boss fight is very enjoyable to learn and execute, and it better bloody be, because the amount of times I died on phase 2. I learned phase 1 to the point that I just didn't get hit at all, ever. Because I just knew it. Phase 2, on the other hand, just kept killing me. But it's actually, phase 2 is actually good when you get the hang of it. Don't really have much of a experience with that, because as soon as I got the hang of it, I beat him, and I felt like, oh, I should have learned that more. Oh well. It's Malakath. They're very important to the story in a way I don't understand. Their knife was stolen, and that killed a god. As a fight, pretty darn good. It did frustrate me a lot, the fact that I had to do phase 1 over and over and over and over again. So I am going to put it lower for that reason, but... yeah. Cool. It looks cool. It's good. Placidusax. We're almost done with dragons. Placidusax answers the age-old question of what if a dragon but a hydra? And yeah, that's basically it, really. Yeah, what if a dragon, but it had loads of heads? I can't remember how many heads it had originally. My guess is 5, and I'm going to say that my guess is 5 because pretty much everything in the game is based around fingers. So, why wouldn't it be? Placidusax, yes. Placid USA Axe. USA Sax. Placidusax. The one thing I do actually quite like about Elden Ring is it has these kind of cool... I think it goes a little too far in a lot of places, but I really like how it has these naming conventions for things. So, for example, a lot of the dragons, their names end in something like Sax. So Fortisax or Placidusax or Lanciacs is a slight variation there. It feels quite organic in that sense, rather than them just being called Megrithil and Comblabar and Scrambleglom. There's a little bit more logic to it. Unfortunately, then you end up with Margit, Morgot, Murgo. It's very difficult to remember anything. So yeah, this is like the... I want to say the dragon god, and I don't think that's true. They're like the representative of the dragon god or something like that. It's not quite... Nothing's ever quite as clear as it should be in this bloody game. But yeah, it's got a bunch of heads, most of which have been cut off. But you get to fight 2 of them at least. They're big. They start the fight. They're in a really cool environment, which is in ruins when you first arrive, and then it assembles itself by going back in time. And you fight them in this big arena, and they start off hovering in the air, all curled up in this sort of heart shape. Very cool visual. As a fight, I don't really have much to say, to be honest. It feels like it should have been like one of those really big, because it's out of the way. I almost missed this boss. You have to go somewhere where there is nothing and interact with literally nothing, because your clue is that nothing is there in order to fight this boss. Like, it's not just like nothing's there, how am I supposed to know? No, your clue is that nothing is there. There should be something there and there isn't. They lug around their lost brother's necks? Yeah, it's kind of wrapped around like a scarf. I like the idea of this as a really cool kind of spectacle sort of thing. But honestly, this was like the 50th dragon I fought. I killed it in 2 attempts, and this would have been so cool if it was a one-off. Again, Divine Dragon. Divine Dragon was so cool because it was so unlike anything else in the game. I have fought like close to 30 dragons by this point in the game. But Placidusax deserved better. I fought 3 dragons in the area leading up to this guy. Which, to be fair, was the place of dragons, but still. Yeah, so I'm gonna put you there. That makes sense. No, slightly. You're not as weird as Astel, I'm afraid. But you're pretty cool. That one has 2 heads and its lasers go whoosh. Yes, they have a running from the vomit laser attack. Yippee. But honestly, the rest of the fight is actually pretty good. There's some good dodging when it comes, sort of teleports in a cloud of lightning. There's some cool stuff going on. I don't want to underplay this boss. It is quite the spectacle. It's just, unfortunately, it's a spectacle in a game of spectacle. And it just gets lost in all of the other spectacle. You should hire FromSoft to design the cool thing in your game. And they could design 30 cool things in 30 games, and they would be amazing. But unfortunately, they put them all in one game, so they sort of become lesser as a consequence. Right, I think we're at the point where I can start drawing the final bosses and the last boss I fought. What order am I going to do that? I'm going to do the final bosses first. Okay, spoilers for the end of the game, obviously. Do you remember when we were talking about Godfrey? The last, the first Elden Lord. Turns out he's not dead. He ain't dead. Big old axe boy, he's not dead. And he comes back with a lion on his back. And he wants I don't know what he wants actually. He wants to stop you, I guess. And he has another fight with you with his axe, with a lion on his back that doesn't do anything, but he's there, looking very intimidating. And then phase 2 happens. Oh my god, phase 2. You haven't had a phase 2 before, you just killed it last time. And it's at that point that the lion goes "Arr," and starts approaching you, and you're like, oh god, what are you going to do with the lion? And then he kills the lion. So I don't have to draw it. Yay. He kills the lion, takes off all his clothes, and reveals himself to be the person he was before he became Elden Lord, which is Hoaralu, Chieftain of the Badlands, or whatever it is. And it's at this point that he turns into a wrestler. The lion's alive, yeah. The lion is like holding back his power or something like that. He deliberately put the lion on his back to tame his inner wild man. And now he's got rid of it, so his inner wild man's out, and he's gonna fantasy wrestle you. And if you're into wrestling, this is gonna be your favorite boss that you have ever seen in any game. Because my word, it is to wrestling like, I don't know, it's like Radon, right? It's like this guy who's just completely over the top, completely bonkers idea of like a warrior. This is the equivalent for wrestling. Like the throws he does, the grabs, and it's just so over the top. And like, wrestling's not my thing, but boy, I can imagine this made a lot of people happy. He kills Godfrey and goes back to his old self. Yeah, exactly. He was Hoaralu, he became Godfrey. This is what Dark has told me. I thought it was the other way around. I thought he was Godfrey, then became Hoaralu. So I'm all confused. But he was Godfrey, he was Elden Lord, he then became... No, he was Hoaralu. He became Godfrey when he became Elden Lord and shunned the sort of warrior in him to become the statesman. But then he became Hoaralu again, kind of, because the whole Marika thing. And basically he's now wrestling you. And why kill the lion? I know! Somebody modelled that. Poor bloody lion. It was only doing what he asked. Someone had to model it and animate it through the fight. It doesn't even join in the fight. What a waste. This is ridiculous. This fight is absolutely ridiculous. Phase 1 is the same as the one you had before with the gold, which I like. Phase 2 is just nuts. Throws and grabs and weird animations and stomping the floor so hard the entire floor just explodes. Yeah, the lion was basically his jailer to reign his barbarian self. Self-appointed jailer, to be fair. You don't have to kill him, he could have just said you can go home now. Yeah, let the lion go. Hashtag let the lion go. Hoaralu I like slightly less. It's so bizarre and over the top. It is great, but as a fight, slightly less interesting than the one before. Where did I put the one before? Did I put you up here? I did put you up there. That's fine. I'll put you on the line. Put you on the good old line. You've got the bizarreness to go for it. Radon. We're now in the Erd tree. We made it finally. The entire game spent trying to get in that bloody tree. So Radagon's weird. Because I got confused. This starts... You start by coming into this place, and then you see Marika, who's like the queen, essentially, the kind of lord, the female person who's in charge. But Radagon is like the queen consort. Because he divorced Renala to go to Marika. And so you enter this arena with Marika's there. She's sort of hanging from the Elden Ring. But then she falls, the Elden Ring cracks, she falls slowly. And in the process turns into Radagon? Now this confused me when I played it, because I didn't find the secret thing. The secret thing which tells you that Marika and Radagon are the same person. How that works, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that are open there. But this confused me for a number of reasons. One, if I didn't know that, a much simpler explanation would just have been that it was an illusion and Radagon was pretending to be Marika. You see that a lot in the game, why wouldn't that be the case? The Elden Lord, they just changed form. I know, but it's just like, it could easily have been an illusion without that knowledge that I didn't have. That would have been a reasonable expectation. But the thing that actually confuses me, looking back on it as to why I didn't really get this when it happened, is, you know, you have this like gender transformation from female Marika to male Radagon. And so the boobs turn into pecs. Because Radagon has pecs. But and the gold hair turns into red hair. For Radagon has the red hair, Marika has gold. And, you know, the physique changes and all that sort of stuff. But it happens in a kind of weird cinematic way that you can't really see, because that would be quite difficult to have that morph in real time in a game engine. Fair enough. But the reason I don't think I twigged it on it, that this was like they turned from male to female, is that Radagon looks exactly like Sorceress Adele from Final Fantasy VIII. Complete with pecs. The red hair, the pecs, the stature, the grey skin, the whole thing. He's just Sorceress Adele. So yeah, so I didn't twig the gender transformation because they looked exactly like a female character from a different game. Also, Marika is like 8 foot and Godfrey is 12, 11 foot, so that's some size difference. Yeah. Anyway, their skin is made of stone essentially, and they've got the Elden Ring inside them, or whatever's left of the Elden Ring. There's like a big circly thing. They're sort of crumbling, I think. Bits of them are crumbling, and this is just like a one-on-one fight. I think they might be wearing a sash or something. And it's supposed to be that kind of like Gwynny sort of, you know, a battle of strength, and they move slowly towards you. They're very imposing. They got a big hammer. Every time they slam it down, gold flies everywhere, and lots of cool lighting effects. The arena is all grey and dark grey, and nothing really stands out. So the bright red hair and the big gold explosions are really cool and dramatic. And as a fight, it's fine. It's all right. It's not particularly hard. It's just what it is. It's just a fight at the end of the game that's pretty cool. If you've been paying attention to the story, it's probably quite interesting. And they used the hammer from the very first trailers. This is the hammer that broke the Elden Ring. The shattering. This caused the entire saga to happen. All of the infighting, all the gods fighting each other, the world plunging to ruin. They did the hammer. That's the hammer that did it. So it's kind of cool. Again, it's neat. It kind of wraps things up. As a final boss, it's a grand old good thing. As a fight, I don't particularly care very much. But neat. It's neat. It's neat. There. Yeah, it's cooler than the tier below. But it's not the final boss, is it? No. That's not cool enough to be the final boss. No. We have another final boss. We have the Elden Beast. We've been talking about gods and beings beyond and great ones and aliens and all these sorts of things. We've got to have something that is speaking on behalf of the greater intelligence, the greater will. Hi, Kiro. We're right at the end of the game. I think this has like sort of little wispy things going along here. This is like... Yeah, so this is the Elden Beast. This is final boss. Spoilers. Tibbles! Oh, that's a great name. I'll call it Tibbles. And it's really cool. What does the sword look like? It has a sword, right? And it's got this sort of... I think it's got sort of these wings like that. I can't remember exactly. Shiny Dragonite. But the one thing, there's a lot of things I like about this design. I will say, I talked earlier that Renala was one of the times in the game, one of the 2 times in the game that gave me goosebumps. This was the other one. I adore the way this boss looks. This is a complete spectacle. And it is just gorgeous. It's got this sort of big sort of light in it. And there's sort of light going down, and you can sort of see like parts of it, and it's just full of stars, and it's just it's wonderful, gorgeous thing. What does the sword look like? I can't remember what the sword looks like. The special sword. continuing the theme of wanting special swords for dragons. I can't remember. It has a sword, right? I'm pretty sure it has a sword. My brain's gone. Anyway, it just looks really, really cool. This thing is really, really cool. Absolutely love it. I seem to remember, like, the first thing, after I finished the game, the first thing Dark asked me was like, hey, what did you think of the final boss? And my response was, I loved it. It was amazing. And that's when he informed me that quite a lot of people didn't like this boss, because it wasn't the really cool duel that they wanted. And some people found it frustrating running from the spells and so on and so forth. It's a galaxy dragon. It's so cool. I love this. I absolutely adore this boss. I just can't remember what its sword looks like. Oh, isn't it like, isn't its sword like there's a bit... Oh, I can't remember. It has a sword. Do it like that, because that feels like a bit missing in the middle or something. I can't remember. It's got a special sword. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Also laughing because you see Dark mention the name Marika, assume you drew them, and your brother and you were listening to music while cooking. We just heard Toy Soldiers by Martika. What a coincidence. Yeah, no, we're talking about, well, I did draw Marika, kind of. I drew Radon. It's a long story. But yeah, yeah. That's going up there. It's Divine Dragon territory. Just absolutely gorgeous design. Such a spectacle, a wonderful end. It is to Elden Ring. Radon and the Elden Beast are to Elden Ring what Gehrman and the Moon Presence are to Bloodborne. That is such a good cadence for an ending to a game. But we're not done. We're not done. There's one more boss. The last boss I fought in Elden Ring. Because after you finish the game, you have the option to go and finish off other things. And there was a boss I missed. This boss is called Millennia. Blade of Mikula. I'm going to draw her in armor, because terms of service. Millennia Blade of Mikula is the optional super boss, I would say, in the game. She was one of the first things shown in the previews for Elden Ring, long before anybody knew anything about the game. She looked friggin' amazing. She was one of the things I was really, really excited and looking forward to in this game, because her design is just so cool. She has this really cool, like, Valkyrie helmet with wings on it. She's got cool prosthetic arm that she attaches. She's got, like, prosthetic legs as well. Fits very much into sort of Sekiro kind of theme. Unfortunately, I can't draw her because I'm bad. Why am I rushing? I have a lot to say. Marika is Radon. They both made babies with other people and it went fine. Then they decided to have sex with themselves and it all went wrong. Classic gods. Yeah, speaking of going wrong. So I will say first and foremost, Marika was the thing I was really looking forward to in this game, because her design is just so cool and I wanted to see more about her. Ignoring the fight, just as a character, big disappointment. She doesn't have a character. She has lore, she has story, she does stuff. She was the one that Radon fought, and she unleashed the rot. She has, like, the rot inside her. That's her. All of the demigods have their own problems, and that's hers. Does she have, like, a thing? Probably she's got things, pauldrons. So she did that, and she's the twin sister of Mikula, the one who was stolen by Moog, and she's looking after him. So she hasn't done a good job because he's been kidnapped and she hasn't noticed yet. But that's the problem, is, like, she is defined almost entirely by the things she did with or to other people. She turned Radon into an insane cannibal, kind of by accident. Like, she was fighting a war against him, yeah, but she just sort of unleashed the rot that was in her. She didn't want to, because She can only do it 3 times before she goes weird. And she's done it twice. Oh, what's going to happen in the boss fight? You'll never guess. Yeah, she's got prosthetic legs. She's got like prosthetic armor leg, and so it's got like metal toes. It's a bit weird. I have no idea what her armor looks like. She has a really cool look, but in the game it's very difficult to tell because you fight her in like flowers and it's just all a mess. So I'm just gonna sort of do sort of roby things. Yeah, so she doesn't really have a character. She is defined, you know, her badass "I've just killed you" line is "I am Melania, Blade of Miquella." It's just her talking about her brother.
Heed my words. I am Melania, Blade of Miquella, and I have never known defeat.
Melania, got it. So yeah, she's just sort of incredibly underwhelming as a character. She doesn't have a character. She's a cardboard cutout of Maria. Which is a massive shame. I would love to have seen her be, you know, do cool things. But that's just as a character. What is she like as a fight? Where do I begin? Melania is a Sekiro boss in a Dark Souls game. She's 3 times faster than you. She can chain her combos together without pause. She heals every time she hits you. She has an incredible amount of health. It's a 2-phase boss fight, so she has 2 health bars. She has combos that are just so fast that it's almost impossible. Like, I often say that Dark Souls 1, anyone can play Dark Souls 1 well. Anyone can. It's just a matter of learning. There is no... Some people will find it difficult to learn it, but everyone can do it. This fight's not the case. There are some people who literally cannot do this fight because it's too fast. And I mean pure reaction times. Your reaction times just will not be good enough. This boss is so fast. 95% of this fight is amazing. It is one of the most satisfying fights. When you've learned it, when you've actually gotten the hang of it, you start doing this and you're like, this is impossible. She goes so fast, there is no way I can possibly learn this without looking it up. But you persevere, you keep going, and you learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and she's just so quick. But you can do it, and you get a bit off, and oh, that feels very good, and I actually did that. I died, but I did the thing. And yeah, just when you've learned this fight, it is so incredibly satisfying. It's the absolute pinnacle. If you have the reaction time, and again, that is unfortunately not the case for everybody. If you have the reaction time, doing this is so incredibly satisfying. It is one of the best duel fights I have had in these games. No, it is the best fight. Best duel fight, the most satisfying. Everything I said about like Sullivan being a good dance. Everything I sort of said about, you know, Gale having this sort of satisfying back and forth, or German, or whatever. All of these sort of one-on-one humanoid v humanoid fights. This just does it perfectly. But incredibly quickly, and incredibly hard, and incredibly unforgiving. This boss took me like 7 or 8 hours to beat. But there are a ton of ways to beat her outside of a straight duel. We'll get to that. I have a lot to say. So yeah, 95% of this boss fight is one of the best boss fights I have ever had. And would absolutely put her up at S. The other 5% has a name, which is unprecedented, I think, in Dark Souls, or Soulsborne games, FromSoft games, that people know the name of a move. You know, she doesn't say it when she does it. There's no, like, thing that comes up at the top of the screen like in Final Fantasy when a move happens. No, people know the name of this move because they looked it up. Because everybody looked it up. Because it's friggin' impossible. There is a move called Waterfowl Dance. And basically what she does is she jumps in the air, hovers for a little bit, not too long, Not long enough for you to do anything, but long enough for you to know what's coming. She then does a flurry of attacks in a sphere, so fast you can't even see it, it's just a blur. Well, she homes towards you first, regardless of where you are. She'll just fly towards you. She will do this flurry of attacks, remembering every time you get hit, she heals, which might kill you, right? There's a lot of attacks going on in a very short space of time. It might just kill you. She'll then do a dash and do it again. Then a dash, do it again, dash, do it again. 4 times in a row. No time to recover, no time to stop it, no time to run. There is no good way of dodging it. If you're in the wrong space, if you're not already very far away from her when she starts this, you just basically can't dodge it. There is no intuitive way to dodge because she attacks in a sphere. You can't dodge into things like most attacks because the flurry happens for too long. The pattern you seem to avoid is dodge away, run, dodge into the last attack. I have, through trial and error alone, and I mean that alone, there is no intuition here. This is pure luck and remembering what got lucky. I can dodge the second, third, and fourth attacks. I still can't dodge the first. I just have to be far away enough, which as a melee build, ain't easy. There was a point, like 5 or 6 hours into this fight, where I was so stressed. I was doing this in like chunks, you know, you don't do it all in one go because it's just too stressful. But there was a point, 4 or 5 hours into the attempt, where I just sort of turned off the game, had to de-stress, whatever, and I actively thought to myself, should I wait until she gets patched? And I've never thought about a boss in a FromSoft game as needing a fix, as being so obviously broken that I would put stock in waiting for them to be fixed by the developers. Contrary to this, they actually seem to have been making it harder. I happen to think that Waterfowl Dance, and I've done some thought about this and trying to analyze as best I can how moves are designed, what I consider to be a well-designed move in terms of telegraphing information to the player, in terms of the animations, in terms of the hitboxes and all this sort of thing. I feel relatively confident that Waterfowl Dance is the worst designed attack in the series, and that includes the Bed of Chaos. Because yeah, you can't see the Bed of Chaos attacks coming, but even if you do see them coming and you are looking up, you at least know when to dodge and how to dodge. And you could block the attacks if you survive and have enough stamina and enough health, but bear in mind she's going to heal off of all of those. So that's not advantageous for you. Some of her moves where if you move left you can completely avoid her attacks and stuff like that. Exactly, that sort of stuff is great. Learning how to do the proper evasion and the proper positioning for the rest of the fight is incredibly satisfying, but Waterfowl Dance is impossible to do that, and impossible to learn without just getting lucky. That's the big problem I have. I know how to avoid the second, third, and fourth flurries, and that was just guesswork, having died dozens of times to it. Without Waterfowl Dance, if somebody could put it this way. I described 95% of this boss fight as being the best fight I have ever had, one-on-one fight I've ever had in a Soulsborne game. Waterfowl Dance is the reason I never want to do this fight again. And that's not hyperbole. I don't want to do this fight again. If I play Elden Ring again, I don't want to do it. So I am, if there is a word that sums up my attitude to this boss fight, it is ambivalence. It is simultaneously the best fight in the game, best fight in the series, and one of the worst. It induces so much joy and satisfaction and so much frustration and anger. It is complete ambivalence. And I don't know where to put it. I don't know where to put it. I was thinking about this for the last couple of days. I don't know where to put this boss. It is simultaneously an F and an S. Any help? It's not an S. It cannot be an S. Waterfowl Dance stops it being an S outright. I cannot, you know, you could have the best cake in the world, the most sumptuous, glorious cake that tastes absolutely friggin' amazing. But the first time you bite into that stray chunk of anchovy that they baked into it, you're not gonna want another slice of it. It doesn't matter how good the rest of the cake is. That's ruined the cake for you. Cut the image in half and put SNF. That feels appropriate for the series, at least. 2 halves. Elden Ring. Two halves. That I feel that makes sense. I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. It feels bad because again, 95% of that fight is really good. It is exceptionally good. But Waterfowl Dance just ruins it. Just really ruins it. This was the first time in the game that I looked anything up, because I wanted to try and do everything blind, and this was the last thing I did in the game. So I was like, oh, I'm having such a hard time with this. Maybe I should look it up on how to avoid this attack. And the consensus is you don't. She brought their community together in their hatred of her. Exactly, and like I say, it is unprecedented in the long storied history of FromSoft games that people know the name of a move. So specific they must be about it. So I do feel a bit justified in that. But here's the thing. Here's the other reason. You know, maybe I could forgive Waterfowl Dance if I just, you know, whatever. But here's the thing. It took me 7 or 8 hours to beat this boss. After I beat her, that's it. I did everything in the game. Time to watch other people play the game, finally. And I went to a streamer who I follow who does a lot of Soulsborne stuff, and they're very, very good at doing challenge runs and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, I wonder how they did in the game and how good they went with it. It took them 14 hours to beat Millennia. So I felt a bit better about myself for that. Now, it turns out that the reason they took 14 hours is they were trying to learn to do it with parrying and without being hit. So that their second playthrough, which would be no leveling, they would know how to do it. Because if they didn't level, they're just going to get one hit killed by everything. But their third playthrough was bow only. In bow only, he beat her first try. If you have a ranged build, this boss is way easier. Hugely easier. By fathoms. That was the last straw for me. I could forgive a really super difficult boss with really super difficult attacks, with really super difficult circumstances, and very unforgiving gameplay. But if it turns out that the build that I chose to play the game with just happened to be hard mode for no reason, I can't be doing with that, I'm sorry. So the next time, I say I'm never going to fight Millennia, I will probably fight Millennia with like a magic or bow build, because I want to see what happens. But I'm never doing her melee again, despite how satisfying most of it is. If you use spells that attack from behind the AI can't dodge them. Yeah, and there's like a spell that's like invisible to enemies, so you can cast that and she just doesn't dodge. Or you can cast 2 of them in a row so that she dodges the first one but gets hit by the second. It's just silly. Anyway, I have now spoken about Millennia. I will now never speak about Millennia again. Anyway. Elden Ring, how did Elden Ring fare? Pretty good, actually. A lot of bees, that makes sense. Quite a few up in this area, actually. Like 6.5? Yeah, I mean, that's more than Bloodborne. Bloodborne doesn't have many bosses, granted, but pretty good. Did alright. Like I say, if I'd included a lot of the bosses that were just enemies in a boss room, they would have gone down here, so. It's a game of chance. Pretty much, yeah. If you can... I'm pretty sure on my final attempt I just happened to get a bit lucky that she didn't do it too many times. Like... I'd learned to avoid it enough that it didn't instantly kill me, but it still took up a lot of my health, and by taking off a lot of my health, it healed a lot of her health. She can just decide to do those, you know, do Waterfowl Dance, followed by another combo, followed by another Waterfowl Dance, immediately, with no rest. That happened once. Anyway. Enough of Millennia. I've done complaining. This is the summary of all of the bosses in all of the FromSoft games that I've played. A lot of average, but then again there would be, because that's how I calibrate things. Pretty well spread. I would say probably more worse than good. But high standards. What are you going to say? Like, if I were to put Neo bosses on the same level as these, probably nothing would get above B. It's weird she's got no set attack patterns. Yeah, exactly. It's just complete randomness. But that's part of the fun of the rest of the fight, is you have to learn the tells. You have to learn when she, you know, if she has the sparky slice forward attack, then she's going to do the slower attack afterwards and not the fast one. And, you know. That bit was so satisfying. Can you mod the game to make it so she can't use Waterfowl? I would happily do the fight if they took that out. If I could mod it so she wouldn't do that. Oh well. Anyway. In an appropriate twist for Elden Ring, I have divided one person into two. Oh, she also turns into a flower. I didn't mention that. Her transformation into phase 2, she turns into a flower and then she like grows wings and becomes naked. Like fully naked. But she's a god, so she doesn't have genitals. No, the game stops working. Great. Wonderful. Anyway. That's that. We have finished this series. I'm free. That is until I get the old PS3 that my brother had out of the garage and put thermal paste on the fan so that it doesn't try and take off, and then buy a copy of Demon Souls. It's like the cabbage PNG in Payday 2 that if you remove it from the game it doesn't work, yeah. Is that cabbage or is it a coconut or something? I can't remember. Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming along. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed me ranting about Millennia. Hearing, can you mod the game? Your first thought was Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh, I'm sure somebody's done that. There were mods for Elden Ring the week it came out. Like, it uses the same architecture as Sekiro and Dark Souls 3. You could easily stick a Thomas the Tank Engine in there somewhere. I haven't seen it yet, but it probably exists. Hang on, let's have a look. Let's have a look at Nexus mods. Popular all time. Seamless co-op, that's a thing. If anyone wants to play Elden Ring with multiple people all the way through, it's a thing. Getting rid of cheats, merchants. Can I search Thomas? Ordinarily we would also look up some concept art, but it's very, yep, Tree Sentinel Thomas mod. You can have it so that the Tree Sentinel is riding Thomas instead of a horse. Might have been Counter-Strike, can't recall, and yes, you think it's a coconut. Something like that. Randomizer cool, right card keeps the fire effect but not the damage. Randomizers are good. I do kind of want to do a randomizer, item randomizer. But, also, I guess, like, I kind of want to keep Millennia S and F, but there is part of me that actually has now thought she's optional. And I have given credence to bosses before for being optional. Oh well, I'm keeping it there for the memes. Anywho, thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoyed. I don't know what we're going to be doing for Wednesdays from now on. I might do some music or some Project VS stuff. We'll find out. But yeah, this project is done. I expected it to take 2 streams. It took 5. Here we are. It took 3 hours just to do Elden Bloody Ring. Half an hour to talk about Millennia. Yes. Hope everybody has a good week, remainder of the week. We'll be back on Saturday with something. Who knows? Swoosh. It says Raft, but Dark's not going to be here, so not Raft. Or maybe Raft. Oh, we were thinking about maybe doing a session of Raft where we just like collected resources. We didn't do any story stuff. We just sort of picked stuff up from islands. Maybe. We'll see. Otherwise, thank you for coming along. I've done my full FromSoft boss brush. Now all I need to do is play all of their other games, like Kingsfield and Eternal Ring. Hope you have a good night and week and so on. Yes, hope you have a good time as well. Hope your ear infection clears up and it gets cool for you. Yeah. Hope everybody has a lovely time. Hope cool weather is swifted your way. Armored Core? Maybe Armored Core? Maybe that ridiculous over-the-top game about the President of the United States? Yeah, anyway. Have a wonderful time, everyone. I'll be back soon. I will leave you with whatever song is left in the next in the Souls playlist. It's very hot in here. Goodbye!